Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freak me out a little bit.
You need to do is get over to Terrell to see him right between I-20 and Highway 80. You can start the process online at PlatinumFord.com and drive a little further to save a lot more at Platinum Ford.
Join us for extra innings after every game on 105.3 The Fan. And give a shout out to Uber Eats and Uber Rides for teaming up to cover the bases for you and your family with a 3-month free Uber One membership for new members. Your Uber One membership puts you in scoring position every time with $0 delivery fee on Uber Eats, member pricing on Uber Rides, and access to exclusive offers from both. To activate your free Uber One membership, go to joinuber1.com. That's joinuber1.com.
Welcome into Rangers Extra Innings after your Rangers get a 10th inning victory 9-7 over the Boston Red Sox in Boston. I'm Reggie Adetula, joined alongside with Fred Davis and, of course, pre- and post-game host for your Texas Rangers, Jared Sandler, on Extra Innings brought to you by Uber Eats. Jared, how you doing, my man?
What's up, Reg? Hey,
not much. Super excited to see a very feisty Rangers victory tonight in Boston. And look, there's a lot of different places that you can go with this one, but the thing that jumps off the page to me, the thing that was super exciting for me personally because of how down it had been prior, and I know that there could be a few things I'm talking about when I set it up that way, but Adolis Garcia, 3 for 5, 2 jacks in this game, and really he was able to give you some offense and give you some life and some vibrance in a way that it felt like he has not given you all season. It was super exciting to see that.
Yeah, no, it really was. And, you know, tonight was kind of the culmination of what was a really good road trip for him. Went 11 for 24, got on base more than 50% of the time. Now, the power wasn't really there short of, you know, what he did tonight. It wasn't like he was just smacking the ball all over the yard, but he was getting on base, and he had a really good 6-game stretch, probably the best 6-game stretch he's had since April. And so that was nice to see. You want to think big picture. I think the Rangers have a really tough decision to make with Adolis this offseason. You got to kind of ask yourself, do you think this was a down year and that he's going to come back motivated, hopefully healthy and ready to, kind of put this year behind him and be a middle-of-the-order force for a team that hopes to compete? Or do you feel like this is an indication of maybe a guy who has, played so hard for 3 or so years and his body's paying for it and you've got to make a tough decision, right? And so maybe, a good finish to the year, not for the emotional side of it, but just because they're able to obtain some data to suggest one or the other will help them make that decision. But yeah, I mean, Adolis has had a really disappointing year, but this has been a good road trip, and we'll see, how he finishes out the last 5 weeks.
And in that same way, like, he wasn't the only one. It looked like there were hard hit balls all through that heart of the order for this team in a way that I don't know that you've necessarily seen that with him and with all of those other guys in that space. You talk about Wyatt Langford, another guy who had a really phenomenal game in this one. Obviously, it helps you win it in the later innings of this. Did you see anything particularly different with them in the ways that they went about it? I know that for Marcus Semien, right, leading off, you saw his patience compared to the previous 2 games in this series.
Yeah, I think, first of all, with Wyatt, he was a few feet away from having a 2-home-run game.
Mm-hmm.
His single, his first time up, was high off the monster. Almost a home run would have been a home run in most parks, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know, Reg. I mean, we've gotten this a little bit more recently. Unfortunately, it hasn't resulted in wins, but where you watch this team go to work offensively and you're like, yeah, I remember seeing this last year. I mean, they had 15 hits tonight. Granted, 10 innings, but they had 12 hits, I think, through 9, so it's not like they used extra innings to really boost their offensive numbers. So, I think you saw production from all 3 parts of the lineup, right? And frankly, you didn't get a whole lot from Semien and Seager. Josh Smith had a nice game. And then, the middle third, the bottom third, you got production from all three areas of the lineup, and I think that helps.
I remember hearing Mike Bassick say something a month or two ago where I think he was referring to when he played with the Indians and now the Guardians or what have you, where, they got hot at the end of the year, and I think he said something along the lines, and again, I'm paraphrasing him here, where he said the manager screamed at him and said, where the bleep was this at, a month or two ago? And it kind of reminded me, and I thought about that watching this game today, when you talk about a team that, and there was some harrowing stat where, this team after 7 innings has not been one to come back. And to do it twice tonight, down 4-3, you hit a home run, boom, down 7-4. We're all sitting here watching it in the bottom of the, top of the ninth, and they come back. There's something to be said for showing some grit and determination there at the end of the game. And dare I say, there's still plenty of time left. And of course we know there's not, but what does a night like tonight mean in the grand scheme of things when you still got such little amount of baseball left, but you're able to string together such a hard-fought win tonight?
My honest answer?
Absolutely.
Nothing. I mean, it's one win. I'm just...
No, and that's what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. Maybe I am. But, for them to come back twice, we haven't seen this Ranger team do that. And I guess my question is, do you just kind of get the feeling of, well, it's a little too late?
Too late, yeah. That's why you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. I mean, now, Fred, 2 weeks from now, the Rangers maybe will be in the middle of a 15-game winning streak, and we'll look back and say, hey, this was the turning point. Yeah. And if we do, then great.
Even better.
But they've had a number of these types of, maybe not like this specifically, right? But they've had a number of wins where you're like, all right, could this be it? Could this be what gets them going? Yeah. And it just doesn't. And, unfortunately, they haven't put themselves in a position where they can win 6 out of 8 and be right back in it. They got to win 16 out of 18.
A lot of games, yeah.
Right? So I think this is a nice win. I think, maybe big picture, this is a good moment for Wyatt Langford in a year of growth and learning. I think it was a nice bounce back outing for Andrew Chafin. But, if I were to sit here and say that this is the type of win that's going to turn their season around, maybe in June, when they have the runway,
absolutely,
but not on August 14th. I can't say that, and look you in the eye, with a straight face and tell you that I think this is going to turn the season around. Status pending, I guess, maybe, but I think it's just too little too late.
So, I mean, look, you get a win here, but unfortunately, this is another series L for the Texas Rangers, as all of them except one series since the All-Star break have been, right? And so I think we are all trying to remain hopeful in this, and that maybe that you see this offensive explosion that they get in this 9-7 victory in Boston is going to be the beginning of some incredible run. But if we're going to keep our feet on the ground here, what are we still looking? What are the things outside of, okay, you mentioned Adolis Garcia that we're evaluating there. What are some of the other things that you were evaluating and maybe got a little bit of a sense of in the course of this game and this series here, Jared?
Well, I don't know that you can necessarily, like in a game or a series, answer some of the tough questions. Adolis Garcia is someone whose play will be under a microscope, and that's going to be a tough decision. Nathaniel Lowe's been really good for the Rangers after a slow start, but I think they've got a tough decision to make with him. And simply because that's a spot that they can backfill and maybe get some value if they feel like they want to go in a different direction. For Leody Taveras, it might be too little too late because unfortunately it's not just the offense. It's the fact that you can be okay with Leody Taveras giving you the offensive season that he's given you if he's going to give you Gold Glove caliber defense, paired with really good base running. But unfortunately, it's not either, right? And so, it might be too little too late there. But I think that, I'll throw out a name who I don't think has been discussed in this manner a lot. I think the Rangers have to ask themselves who Marcus Semien is going to be. And here's what right? You know that you got a guy who's going to bust his tail and who's going to post up, right? Yeah. And that's huge. You got a guy who, so long as his athleticism is still there, and there's no reason to think it's going to disappear next year, is going to be one of the best defenders at an up-the-middle position in baseball, right? He's heading towards a Gold Glove. But I think you got to ask yourself, who is he or what is he offensively? Is he a top-of-the-order bat? Is he a leverage bat? Or is he a guy who, is probably best off hitting 6th or 7th in a really good lineup? Because this is Marcus's 3rd year. And one of those years will end up being a way better than league average year. That was last year.
Yeah.
But his first year and this year are probably, maybe he has a strong finish to the season, and that can change. As of now, he is heading towards an offensive season that is going to be a little bit better than league average. But not more than that. Now, I'm not saying you're moving on from Marcus, but when you're putting together your lineup, when you're going to the drawing board this offseason, trying to put the pieces together, I think you got to ask yourself, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And he's not getting any younger. And I think that's something the Rangers have to evaluate too.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some recontextualization that's necessary in a few places. Corey Seager might be one of those as well. I mean, he's giving you some great things, but defensively, I think there's some questions to be asked there. And I think in a whole, when you look at this team was great defensively last year, and it hasn't been quite that level of good defensively in a lot of spots. But before we move this along, I did want to know, because obviously you got 4 home runs, and that helped balloon the offense for this, but still, extra base hits aren't the easiest thing to come by for this Rangers squad as well, are they, Jared?
Well, they did just have a 30-plus game streak of consecutive games with an extra base hit, but on the whole, Reg, this year, that has, it's been a big part of what has gotten in the way of this offense really taking off, right? You look at where they're slugging, they're in the bottom third of the league. And I think, I don't know, when the Cowboys struggle, when the Mavs struggle, when they, exceed expectations or surge, what's the reason, right? You get asked that a lot. What's the reason the Rangers lineup has struggled? We need 45 minutes to really break it all down. But there's one stat that really jumps out to me. The Rangers are not very good at getting ahead 1-0 compared to 0-1. They're near the bottom of the league in terms of their ability to get at bats to 1-0. But when they are getting ahead, they have the worst slugging percentage in Major League Baseball. In hitters counts, their slugging percentage is 30th out of 30. In the spots in which you as a hitter are supposed to be able to drive the ball, to take advantage, the Rangers are dead last. Right? Now, last year they were 8th. It's not like they were running away with that last year, but top third of the league. And they were putting themselves in that position a lot. This year, they're not putting themselves in that position nearly enough, and when they aren't taking advantage of it.
Real quick, I know we're up against it, and like you said, you look at a guy like a Marcus Semien, and you're exactly right. I mean, look, he's going into year 13 next season. He's going to be 34 years old. Look, he's been an Iron Man for you the last 3 seasons. I mean, this guy's been an absolute juggernaut as far as availability goes. I guess what's got me thinking, though, and again, we don't have near enough time to talk about it, Jared, is just what is this team's identity going into next season? And I guess that's what, that's the question.
A great question. Fred, that's a great question. I think based on what we know now, and what I mean by that is guys are going to be back, their team's identity going into this offseason is a great rotation.
Yeah.
I think it's a lineup that's got potential, but there's a lot of question marks. Now, they might go and make some moves this offseason and give you some answers to certain questions, but Evan Carter, is he going to be a super stud, or is he going to be a guy who can hit in a leverage spot against righties, but you have to protect against lefties?
Right.
Josh Young, listen, if the guy's healthy, he's going to be a stud, but he hasn't been able to do that.
Availability is the number one ability.
Right. And Wyatt Langford is going to be a stud, right, if he can stay healthy. The question is he going to take a massive leap, or is he going to take a big step? And there's a big difference between taking a leap and a step.
Right.
Right. And, again, Marcus Semien, you don't know. Adolis Garcia, what are you going to do with him? You don't know. So there are a lot of questions with this team from a lineup standpoint. But I do think that if you were to ask me going into the offseason, what do you feel best about? I would tell you the rotation, which is kind of bizarre to say about this group.
And when it comes to the rotation, Cody Bradford is set to take the bump tomorrow as you start a 4-game set against the Minnesota Twins. Bailey Ober is supposed to go for the Twins. And I mean, as we continue to see if we can find some answers as to what this team is, and hopefully, maybe just maybe take a ride this 10th inning 9-7 victory against the Red Sox into some better play, and particularly some offense. Absolutely, absolutely. Jared, we appreciate you.
They won that for you,
so
Reg.
much, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, especially once we got to the later innings and extra innings. This is extra innings, Rangers extra innings right here on 105 through the Fan, brought to you by Uber Eats. Jared, I appreciate you so much, my man.
You got it, man.
There you go.
Sticking around or not?
Yeah, let's stick around. We'll get into the Get Right here on 105 through the Fan. And our guy, Jared Sandler, will stick around, talk a little bit more Rangers, but get into some fun. We'll do that right here on 105 through the Fan.
Zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up.
you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Pre-curb?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Time for the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Yes, indeed. It is the Get right here on 105.3 The Fan. Reggie Adetula here with you alongside Fred Davis. We got our guy, Kevin Walker, on the ones and twos. Thanks for hanging out with us on this important Wednesday evening for me personally. In the Metroplex, not a super important Wednesday, I don't imagine.
You just made it important for
It's a great one because your Texas Rangers get a big-time 9-7 victory in 10 innings. The man who got you pre- and post-game coverage of that, Jared Sandler, hanging out with us tonight. But he's hanging out. He's already done his duties. He's hanging out as a special favor to me personally because if you have not heard already, I, Reginald Adetula, this is my final week at
Cue
The
the
Fan.
boys to men.
And this show in particular is my final Get Right on 105.3 The Fan. So we got 3 hours. We'll take you till midnight. Hang out with us. Enjoy. And one thing that I'm not great at accepting compliments and accepting love or whatever, but I remember when we sent KG off, one of the things I did to give the fan base, give the Tolos room and space to love on him and appreciate him, as I opened up the phone lines. If you wanted to call in and say something nice, you had the avenue to do that, and I've been advised to do something similar tonight. So 877-881-1053. Of course, that's the Frankel Injury Attorney text line, but it's also the phone line if you want to call in and say something nice on my final show.
Give us your thoughts. Tell Reggie how you feel. He's going to Houston, going to H-Town.
That is true.
So,
don't cuss on air. Don't cuss on air.
Little love-hate.
I was going to say, don't get me fired.
I'm
but
just sweating thinking about the humidity and stressed over the traffic already.
It's brutal.
All of those things do exist. I will be fine. Don't worry about that. But
you're close to the station, so you'll be all right.
I will be. And look, I want to talk with my guy Jared because he is indeed my guy. But one thing I want to do as well is make sure that you, the Tolos, are informed and taken care of as we're supposed to. And a little bit of breaking news this evening. And breaking news on 105 through the Fan is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. And the Cowboys have actually made some moves to try and do a little bit of addressing of one of, I think, maybe their second most or their second weakest position on the team.
For 1A, 1B.
There you go. Okay, fine.
Maybe 1C if O-linemen keep getting hurt.
So defensive tackle, interior defensive line has not been very good for them, or at least is a place that looks a little weak. You've got Mozzie Smith, who is going to be your starter. I mean, by hook or by crook. You've got Justin Rogers, who has done what he can. He's 22 years old of age as well. I think that this move that has been made by the Cowboys is trying to add some veteran play in there, as the Cowboys have traded for defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. He was a second-round pick in 2015, and he last was associated with the Giants. I was going to say last played for him, but as you noticed, he didn't actually get snaps over there.
Didn't actually suit up. He was with the Buffalo Bills the last couple seasons. Apparently was just fluctuating or throwing around the idea that he might retire, and then he went ahead and signed with the Giants. Apparently they saw enough of him, he saw enough of them, and they decided, you know what? Big D, here you go.
Okay, very good. I don't like the way you said that, but I appreciate you saying it. Yeah, it's gonna be a kind of a flowing one in the way that this goes. And look, we'll talk to our guy Brian Broaddus live from Oxnard here in about 15 minutes. So Jared, now I will fully bring you into the conversation. Would you like to talk about Jordan Phillips, or would you like to talk about something else entirely?
Well, no, the Cowboys are clearly weak at both tackle spots, offensive and defensive side, in terms of depth.
Yeah.
Right? So it seemed like a trade or an acquisition of some kind was inevitable. Didn't know it was going to happen tonight, but I mean, it became increasingly clear. Where I actually heard, I think Wooly Bully and Broadus were talking about it earlier, and they were breaking down some of the options and stuff. And so, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't think the Cowboys have had a great offseason, much like I think that's probably the popular opinion. Now, it seems like in the NFL, when you don't have a good offseason, you end up doing a lot better than people think because the offseason is such a fool's gold pursuit. But, yeah, I mean, I just think one thing in sports that is so vital is depth. And we always try and worry about filling the top line of the depth chart in all sports, but you got to have depth, and especially in a physical sport like football. And so I think adding some depth is a big win for them.
There you go. I think that was excellent. Never forget, Jared Sandler might be the sportiest sports person that you know. I know he talks about baseball all the time, but
say I'm the biggest loser, but yeah.
I didn't say all that. You went and implied other stuff that was not said. All right, Jared, one of the things Rangers-wise is Nathan Eovaldi's expected to make his next start. Just injury-wise, that was one of the stories, especially from a 30,000-foot view when it comes to like nationally. Oh, well, this team is injured when they get healthy. It seems like they're just about to get into that space, are they not?
Get healthy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got John Gray, who's probably going to be back here this homestand. Nathan Eovaldi. Obviously, you got Malley back. You got Young back. Hopefully, DeGrom will be back in a few weeks. He'll likely begin a rehab assignment sometime in the next week or so. Yeah, but, like Fred said earlier, too little, too late.
Yeah.
It seems like. But, yeah, it'll be good to get Evo back out there. And for him, I mean, he's got something that he's playing for here.
Contract, right?
Yeah, so if he gets 36 more innings, then his player option vests. Now, he might decline that and enter free agency on his own volition. However, let's say he really has a rough final month and a half, right? Then maybe he decides, all right, exercising the player option is the best way to go. So it all depends. I tend to think a guy who's got the playoff chops that he has will get maybe not $20 million a year, but could get maybe 3 years at, say, $18 million, and maybe that's the best decision for him. And I think, for him, I know in talking to him, he wants to be back, but he also wants to win. And, he wants to see that this ownership is committed to winning. Obviously, understandably, they run a business, and with the uncertainty of the TV side of things, they were a little hesitant to make, significant financial contributions or commitments this offseason. And we'll see how that all unfolds and how that influences their appetite this offseason. But, one thing I know is that Nathan Eovaldi does not want to be on a team that's not going into the season as a contender. And, hopefully the Rangers fit that description, and hopefully he's back. Because we talked about, Fred asked about the identity, the rotation. That's not even considering Eovaldi, right? That's with DeGrom and Malley and Bradford and John Gray. And now if you add Nathan Eovaldi into that mix, plus Kamar Rocker and Jack Leiter, we're just talking about depth. You got, great top-end ability, but you also have depth.
Excellent. All right, so we got a little Cowboys, we got a little Rangers. Let's do the part that's for us. I don't even know how to do this without sounding like a jerk.
Well, I'll tell you. I want to say something.
Please, go for it.
That's where we're getting at.
You're a verbose man, and I always enjoy it.
Well, I don't know how. I am. Right.
And look, every time that I say that,
words.
It sounds like I'm joking. I very much enjoy how thorough you are.
I don't like to leave anything off the table here, right? Because this is what happens. If you don't give every detail, then someone's going to, blah, 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 you didn't say this or whatever. It's like, yeah, I don't have an hour. But, Reg, I wanted to say I'm incredibly proud of you. I remember I first met you when you were behind the glass doing the board for Rangers games, right?
Yep.
And I know there are people listening who think it is so sweet that Kevin Walker and Ross Lebinsky and Alec Medford and Chris Strong get to, be a part of the station and do that. I can tell you that of all their responsibilities with the station, running the board and cutting highlights for the Rangers probably is not their favorite thing to do. But you gotta pay your dues, and that's how you do it. And you did that, but you graduated from that. And I mean, I've had conversations with you. You know how I feel about you. I think you're super talented. And as a colleague, I'm incredibly proud of you because we see a lot of people who start at the bottom and try to climb their way up to the top, and they don't make it. because they don't have the work ethic, they don't have the ability, maybe they don't have the break that they need here or there, but that is not a ladder that is just a given that you're going to be able to scale, and you've done that. I'm excited because I know you obviously have roots in Houston, and that's really cool. I get to live out my dream here in my hometown, and you're going to go back to Houston, even though that's an inferior city.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. Yep.
And then as a friend, I think the world of you. I think people get to know us through a microphone, and I think for the most part, we are who we are. I hope. I don't think anyone's got a facade, but you don't get the full picture of people.
Sure.
You don't get the essence of who they are. You might know that Sean is stubborn and combative, and that RJ's kind of a lovable meathead, and Bobby's just all over the place, right? You know that you know that Mike is emotional and at any moment might just go on a rant, and that's Mike. But you are an A+ human, and I'm very grateful that I've gotten a chance to be around you, get to know you, get to understand what you stand for, what you're about, and I'm going to be rooting for you, and you got a friend in me forever, and I'm really proud of you.
I appreciate that so much. You talk about those nights covering Rangers and things, but one of the things that made it great was getting to do it with the people that I did, because I always think about the times where we sit down and have conversations. Me and you in particular, we just sit and chop it up, whether about baseball or the Rangers or something else. Some of the best moments getting to do those things. So I appreciate you greatly, and I think that I've also expressed to you how I feel about you and your work and your efforts as a human being. By the way, the Sandlot charity, get involved, tap in however you can. This man really puts a lot of effort into organizing and doing great things for his community and things that he feels passionate about. So, Jared, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time on a late night, and thanks for everything. In fact,
are the videos on? I don't know how
it is. You're on. I believe that's your camera right there.
Camera.
There you go. Excellent. A little bit
doing
of
this right?
You're doing it perfectly. You're doing it perfectly.
Yeah.
It
Love
means
you,
something
Reg.
to me.
I'm proud of you.
Love you too, my man. So get right here on 105 through the Fan. I did say that we'd open up the phone lines. I see a phone line
Walker,
lit up right now. So
Texas Ranger.
Let's go to Walker in Fort Worth. Walker, what's happening, my man?
Reggie, I hate having to follow the verbose Jared Sandler.
That's right.
But I think it is poetic in seeing his meteoric rise and being a part of yours. As Tolos, we are beneficiaries of men that put in hours that we don't get to thank y'all for. As somebody who spends most of their days listening, I just want to tell you on behalf of the Tolos out here, we are thankful and we're very proud not only to learn from you, but to watch you and to aspire to be you. You have a gift. I would love to have all the bits in the world, but I'd rather tell you the truth, is that you have a gift. You are following your gift. We have been beneficiaries of your gift. And in the words of Jared Sandler, today was a good day, not because we beat Houston, but because you get to go home to Houston. That's the only time I will ever say that. Just know we're thankful for you. Your smile on the fan cam, your voice, everything about you. Thanks for being you, and I'll hang up and just know we're thankful.
Walker, I appreciate that so much. Those are very kind words, and if you guys continue with half of that, I will be crying before midnight. Lines are open on the Franklin Injury Turning text line, 877-881-1053. We got you till midnight, and coming up next, I did mention there was some breaking Cowboys news. There was a joint practice for your Cowboys. Let's go to Oxnard to talk to another friend. He is on the G-Bag Nation. His name is Brian Broaddus. We'll talk to him next on The Fan.
The Fan is on YouTube, Twitch, smart speakers, or any mobile device on our Odyssey app, presented by Comerica. Turn it on, leave it on America's fastest growing sports station. Thanks to you. 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, Zach Wolchuk with you, and let's talk about one of my favorite things. That's Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, and you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
Adetula alongside Fred Davis on this Wednesday evening, my final edition of Get Right, as this is my final week at 105 through the fan. It's been a pleasure. You can all, if you would like to say something nice, you can get on the phone, 877-881-1053. But for the time being, it's not the phone. I didn't realize that we were going to make my man get up and go to the tennis courts. But I'm being joined by the greatness of the Super Bowl winning scout. His name is Brian Broaddus. Broaddus, what's happening, my man?
Reggie, Fred, good evening to you both. Reggie, it's been a real honor and a privilege to work with you.
Broaddus,
you're an example of everything that we should be in life. You're a good teammate. You're a good friend. You provide humor, and you can always put your arm around somebody and make them feel good about themselves. So thank you for all you did for me, and please don't forget about me when you make that trip south. I'm sure there's some Houston and Dallas game coming up here pretty soon we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
And then maybe some draft stuff down the road.
Oh,
so
for sure.
Please don't forget about me.
Broaddus, you know how many times I hit you up asking you about this, that, or the other. You've always been a huge benefit to me, a huge help. And I'm kind of glad, to be honest, that you didn't follow through on a very big threat that you made, that you were not going to do any more radio until I worked with you. So you've always been a big champion for me. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. What do you guys have on your mind tonight?
Well, we kind of have to start with what is the breaking news for the Cowboys. Now, we didn't mention the fullness of the trade. They will trade for defensive tackle from the Giants. Jordan Phillips, 6'6", 340 is how he stands, and he was a second-round pick in 2015.
Yeah,
there will be there's going to be a pick swap here going on.
Yeah, we're going to flop some picks. So what will happen is that it's a 6 and a 7 flop is what it'll be. So yeah, it's hey, you know, there's the Giants are in a situation right now where they've got a lot of young defensive linemen, some young defensive tackles. So they're kind of in that mode of maybe that Phillips might not have made the team. So they're thinking, okay, let's kind of move a guy on. Dallas sees like an opportunity to add somebody because that's a position clearly that they need to get better at. They've the Mozzie has practiced better. You know, Davis played okay in the game the other day, but yeah, they need a legitimate a defensive tackle, and Phillips is a guy that, you know, when healthy is that type of guy. I mean, he's a big body guy. He can be hard to move. He's got some athletic ability to him. But yeah, and I need to go back and look at and refresh myself. When I get done with you guys, I'm going to sit on this tennis court and break down some Giants tape, which should be riveting for sure. But
you better break down some Buffalo Bills tape because you ain't going to find nothing on him on the Giants.
I think we found that he didn't get any snaps with the Giants, apparently.
No snaps with the Giants at all then, huh?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, because he allegedly talked about he's going to retire. He was on the fence about that.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to make me hunt. Is what you guys are going to do. So yeah, well, I'll be doing some hunting, and then I get to be on the air at 8:40 in the morning, and I'll probably have a scouting report about that. So yeah, I just like I say, the size, the athletic ability. There's some things with the injury history there that I was kind of learning about, and then also too that maybe that he was probably going to get released. But hell, that's something you got to do. I mean, if you're the Cowboys, you got to look at all possibilities, and here we go.
Brian Broaddus from G-Bag joining us here on the Get Right. And
live from Oxnard.
Live from Oxnard.
Yeah,
Let's not forget that, my man, doing big boy things over there. I heard you on G-Bag today, and you sound very nonplussed when talking about today's performance against the Los Angeles Rams. And I always have to bite my tongue because I always want to say the St. Louis Rams. Is it because, and look, I get the whole, because of the way preseason is now, you see a lot more teams doing the joint practices. But, man, I'll tell you what, it seems like they've been practicing with St. Louis, with the Rams for about a week now. Does that have as much to do with the fact that today for this Cowboy team, in your estimation, wasn't anything glowing because of the fact that maybe they're, we hear about guys get tired of beating up on each other. Are they kind of just tired of beating up on the Rams right now after a week straight?
No, I mean, that's, it's an interesting question. I felt like that the defense, if you sat down and watched the defense on tape today, you would have been like, especially down in the red zone. Mike Zimmer came with some interesting blitz packages and some different personnel moves and stuff. The offense was bad today.
That's the offense I heard you talking about. Okay.
The offense, and I know that people, this is where you have to be really careful. The guys and the gals out here are doing a great job of providing clips. And so you get clips. You see a clip of a good play. But for example, I'll give you a really good example today. The thing with Guyton is fighting right now his, whether it's pneumonia or what, he had something that caused his chest not to be right. And so they have him on a pitch count. He's not really breathing all that well, but he's out there practicing, and they're trying to kind of get him through some things. So he's going against Verse. Well, we've seen Verse. He kind of drives Verse into the ground, and okay, great. That's a good-looking clip. But if you watch the entire practice, and not every bit of the practice was bad for him, but he got broke down 3 different times. Verse broke him down in a way, and it was funny because when Guyton gets in trouble, he just places his hands. He puts his hands up. Instead of when he's really good, he gets his hands inside and he's able to control and kind of and be able to stay with his guy. But there was a couple different times where if he just set his hands up and Verse slaps his hands 3 different times, slaps his hand, broke him down 3 different times. And 2 of the times he could have been a sack. 1 of the times it was a sack. There was another time where he got broke down going inside, and he grabbed on, got a holding call from an NFL official, the umpire right there, calls a holding. Luckily, he doesn't end up in the back of the legs of Zach Martin. That could have been an absolute disaster right there. Martin's on the other side blocking, and here's our tackle, Guyton, going down. He's got a handful of Verse going inside, and they both fall and fly, and next thing you know, they end up in the back of behind Zach Martin. That could, you see Brian Schottenheimer, like he throws his hands up and turns away like he's thinking, oh my God, this is about to be really a disastrous play. But this is where you have to be careful because these guys they practice and they practice and they practice. And, a lot of times we're out here and we're watching these things and, it's like, oh, well, so-and-so's doing this. And so, well, there's a lot of learning going on here. I mean, Verse, he got Verse a couple times. Verse got him. He got, he gave up a sack to Michael Hoyt, around the edge. I mean, he lunged. Hoyt went around him, jumped around him, and then went right to Dak, and it was a sack. He pulls off, and so it's more to it than just the clips. It really is. I mean, there's some guys having some really good days out here too. It's good to see Diggs out here practicing. It's good to see Nealon get to play some 3 technique and on the goal line, and then with him and Micah and Tank and Osa, and they're getting after the quarterback and they're getting stops. Those are the things that you see in practice. Defense, I thought, was much better today. Offense was sleepwalking out here. They really didn't make any big plays. They didn't block anybody particularly well. They suffered some injuries at the tackle spot. They really didn't run the ball all that well. And Dak wasn't as accurate as he has been in some of these previous practices and then the last time when he worked against the Rams. So I thought it was a poor day for the offensive side. Defense, a little bit better.
That's kind of, as we're talking to Brian Broaddus right here on 105 through the Fan, giving us some Cowboys coverage live from Oxnard, and I'm really disappointed to hear that they didn't run the ball well because. And sorry for reaching back to the preseason game.
They can't. They really.
It felt like they ran the ball decently well in the preseason game.
And they didn't do it enough. They didn't do it enough. See, that's the problem, Reggie. And I think what's going to happen, they wanted to see. Okay, fine. Let's see if Trey Lance can throw the ball 40 times and see what happens there. That's kind of what kind of a game plan they got into. I'd like to have seen them. I think against the Raiders on Saturday, you're going to see them try and run the ball more. This offensive line is pretty banged up. Right now they're shuffling guys around. They're bringing guys in. There's going to be some guys playing out of position, I think, this week. So you just want to kind of get out of this game if you can. But yeah, Deuce Vaughn was back. He had like one or two little nice runs where, on the goal line where he was able to sneak it in. But overall, it was really a kind of a problem for this team to really kind of get anything going. They have a move the ball period, and Dallas really wasn't moving the ball. That was kind of where where they were. The red zone period for the offense was, Dak was having to move quite a bit. The pressure was getting to him. He's trying to escape. They were trying to shake guys loose. Cooks was the best guy down there. He found space. They found him a couple different times, with the touchdown and stuff like that. But man, it wasn't as smooth of an operation down there as well. And I know, Fred, you asked the question, are they tired of seeing? No, I think that you look at how you practice, and this was good work. It's good that they had another team across from them, because if not, the Dallas's defense would have embarrassed them today, the way that they practiced.
Brian, when putting your scouting cap on, when you look at, the O-line's taking a few hits. Again, you throw a Jordan Phillips in there, who to me seems like he's going to be as much of a veteran leadership type guy on that D-line in the locker room as much as he is going to be a body.
Yeah.
Then you got a Raiders team who, Antonio Pierce has already come out and said, look, we're going to name who our starting quarterback is going to be after this game on Sunday. Does that amp up the pressure from a defensive standpoint? And then from a scouting perspective, what's the team, what's the conversations being had in coaching and practice tonight, or the meetings tonight after you had a rough practice? And what are you trying to do as far as, where the rest of the league is on those certain positions that y'all need help on?
Yeah. To me, if, Antonio Pierce is trying to create a new culture there with the Raiders, and there's been a lot of guys that have gone through there and tried to kind of change that whole dynamic with that team. And good for him. He's probably going to go out here and try and win this game. I don't think that Mike McCarthy is really interested in winning this game. I think it would be nice if he could. It'd be nice if, the backup guys, they practiced against the Rams today so they don't have to play the starters on Saturday.
Okay.
So that's where they're at. They're taking the Sean McVay approach. Sean McVay, the Rams were going to go scrimmage and practice against the 49ers. That's what they were going to do. So they look at these midweek practices as ways of getting their starters work, and so they don't have to play them on the weekend. And I could see Mike McCarthy doing the same thing. Now Pierce on the other end, he could try and win this. He could try and win this game. He's got to figure out, and he might say, okay, I'm putting these quarterbacks out there, and let's see which one of them gets the job done. Mike Zimmer, that defense, they got a lot of young kids that are playing, that are trying to make the team, trying to, help, keep their jobs and stuff. And, they'll play hard and all that. And hopefully they'll get a little bit more pressure. They didn't get enough pressure last week in the game, but the turnovers were good. Mike will have them ready to play. It'll just be, I think it will be a different level of type of how they play.
Okay.
Is how this thing will. And if you're, if you're Pierce and the Raiders, hey, we're trying to build culture. We're trying to win all the games. Here we go. And the Cowboys are like, hey, let's take a look at this and let's take a look at that. And, we got some young guys that clearly need some work here that we're going to probably have to rely on.
Broadus, I appreciate you giving us Cowboys insight, but now I need OG crusty Broadus. I need veteran of life Broadus, because as a scout, you've made quite a few moves. I'll be making a move here soon.
Yes.
Best moving advice from Brian Broadus is?
Yeah, don't ask your friends to move.
Really?
Yeah, that's the best. If you're a true friend, you will never ask another friend to help you move. You just don't do it.
What if you got that one go-to friend, though?
No.
Really?
It doesn't matter how many cases of beer you give him or promise him a crawfish boil or whatever you're going to do. It doesn't work. Because what happens is that friend of yours gets tired at the end of the day. He takes your furniture. He's really not interested. He's banging it off the wall. He's chipping stuff. He just drops it. He really doesn't care about putting the boxes where you want the boxes to go. So now, don't ruin a friendship over a move. And if you can afford a move, if you can afford movers, it's the best thing in the world. Trust me, it's the best thing.
There you go.
Interesting.
That's a man who's made some moves. He's
Brian
lived
Broaddus.
life. Brian Broaddus has lived life. Look, Broaddus, I appreciate you so much. Like I was saying earlier, you have been such a big help to me. You've made me so much football smarter.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't think people appreciate nearly enough, they look at the young folks when they talk about hustle. You got so much hustle in you. It has been an inspiration to work with you, and I look forward to even future conversation with you, my man.
Reginald, continue to be great, my friend.
Yes, sir.
You'll do just fine. Thank you,
sir.
brother. Appreciate you.
There is Brian Broaddus live from Oxnard, California, Cowboys training camp.
Great insight.
You get him every day on the G-Bag Nation. You'll hear him on Sean and RJ. KNC might even tap into him as well. That is a dude who absolutely has a ton of insight and is watching these things up close. Right.
He's a football machine.
No one else in the DFW radio space is putting eyes on this team right now.
Not like that.
Brian Broaddus is. I told you that all night tonight, if you want to call in, say something nice.
All night long.
Like Lionel Richie. If you want to come in and say something nice, the phone lines are open for you, 877-881-1053. And along that lines, it looks like we got Dennis in Delaware.
Wow.
Dennis, what you got for me, my man?
What's happening, Reg?
Yo.
Delaware. Listen, around all these Eagle fans.
Yeah.
Up, listen, it's hard out here. It's hard. But Reg, yo, you are the man. I just want to let you know on that midday when you cut in with Bassick, that's the show. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard without you.
Those boys have done plenty before me, and they'll be great without me. I promise you.
Listen. When I watch sports and such, you're the man on there.
Hey.
Listen, I used to hit KT up all the time, like, yo, get Reg over to the freak. Reg, well, listen, that shit didn't work out too well. So, you know what I mean? But listen, I thought for sure you was going there. And look, all the blessings, man. I just want to let you know you're a good dude. And, like, I can tell, like, man, you got a good vibe with you, bro. You're a real good dude.
Hey, I appreciate that, Dennis. Thank you so much for calling in. It means a lot. It does, man. You always wonder if your work is appreciated.
100%.
And not only that, Dennis, like, hey, man, I could tell you a good dude. Like, hey, wow, okay, cool. Not
That's
just
the
my
highest
work, but
compliment you can get right there.
yeah, I guess so, man. I appreciate that. And is someone calling in right quick? We can sneak this one in before we go to break because I don't want to let you. I don't want to let you live on the line. But yes, shout out to the 817 says they'll miss. I appreciate you. 214 says pay for movers only for the big furniture move. Everything else yourself and buy room. I feel like at that point, if you're paying for movers, let them do the job.
Let
man.
them do the job. I will quibble with Broaddus, though, a little bit on not having your boys help you move. Because, A, if you get the right friend, look, we're in to get this done, and let's go. So I ain't trying to make this a full day move because I am that friend that goes and helps.
But I tell you, as having you're a worker, man. I appreciate that about you.
I'll move all day.
One of the things I do love about movers is that when the price is right, you are no longer moving, you are supervising, and that is just
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You got that right because sometimes carrying the big the dressers, the headboards, the buffets. That gets heavy now.
Where it gets clutch is when they come in and they pack it up for you.
Yeah,
that's the real clutch because packing is the nasty part.
Packing is the worst.
That's the nasty part.
I can lift up heavy stuff. I'll pick up stuff, put it down all day. The packing part, no thanks.
All right,
thanks. You got one more guy.
Yes, sir. Let's go to Drew in Dallas before we move this along on the Get Right. Drew, what's happening, man?
Hey, not much, Reggie. Just wanted to say congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
Big fan. I liked all your work on Locked On.
Hey, yes, sir.
Yeah, man, just real glad listener, and happy to see you going to bigger, better things.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Drew. Thanks for calling in. It means, look, I'm going to keep saying that, and it feels like I'm just kind of like placating or what have you. It does mean a ton to me.
Absolutely,
because I don't know how much people recognize this. Like when we're in here, we're talking, and it's easy to feel like you're just talking to the people in the room because you are, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a microphone. It is not public speaking in the way that you think about it, getting up on a stand or what have you. But to know that, hey, man, there's a whole bunch of people out there that not only are listening, right, doing
especially
enough to
at
listen.
night, too, because as you know, having done nighttime radio for a long time, it's a different vibe at night.
It sure is.
Than it is during the day.
It sure is. And I appreciate you guys deciding to come around and hang out with us here on the Get Right on this Wednesday evening. My final show, my final Get Right. I'll be on with KNC Thursday and Friday. Coming up next, though, I do want to ask this question. We talked about it a smidge with Broadus, but something that I saw on, or actually, no, we'll go around the NFL here. Let's talk about some of the news.
We're just living it, big dog.
Yeah. My bad. I forgot where I was.
And more phone calls all night long.
Yeah, you can always call in and say some on my final show. We'll go around the NFL next on The Fan.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing enough.
think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Davis hanging out with you on this Wednesday evening. Thank you for making this particular edition of the Get Right real special for me. My final show
Gotta be, man.
of the Get Right here on 105 through the Fan. We'll take you to midnight, though, after a Rangers 10-inning victory, 9-7 over the Red Sox. They do lose the series, but at least they get one before they head home for a 4-game set against the Twins. So,
lost the war, but won the battle. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, I believe that is what they say. And look, the thing that was nice is that they did the things that we've been clamoring for them to do all year long. Hopefully they can. That's not just a blip in the radar, but something that they can maybe try and replicate as they welcome in the Twins. Yeah, absolutely would. Let's talk about. We'll talk more about the Cowboys. There's definitely some stuff coming up. We'll talk with our guy David Helman of Fox Sports at 10. And then I have a question about these Cowboys as well that we'll get around to, or maybe we won't, right? Like, this is going to be a real free-flowing final few
Reggie
hours. I guess that's the case. If you've listened long enough, you know that I'm not very comfortable with that idea, but you know what? I'm going to do it for the people. And yes, 817, I am leaving the station. This is my final week at 105 through the Fan. Sorry to say that. What I am not sorry to say is that it's time to go around the NFL here on the Get Right. And we begin with some really big news on the day, and that's that the Patriots apparently really tearing this thing down because Matthew Judon, one of the really good pass rushers in this league, he's a Pro Bowl linebacker, and he will be playing for the Atlanta Falcons going forward.
Kind of saw this coming. You knew something was going to go down with this. He's, the new move now is, I mean, we know that the holdout's always been a player move for quite some time, but then now there's the hold in, which is what our boy Matthew Judon has done, and now he's going to join an Atlanta Falcon team that is in a wide open NFC South, and again, I'm not ready to go contender status just yet for this Atlanta Falcon team, but know what you got on that offensive side of the ball. You got playmakers. You got a brand new head coach in Raheem Morris, and now you've got a defense that was already pretty good, and now you add a dude who's going to be hungry. He's playing for a contract and knows how to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, man. That's a dude who I think last year he had how many sacks? He had 2.5 last year. Wait, who am I looking at? I'm looking at the wrong dude. I was looking at Jordan Phillips. My bad. That's on me.
Yes.
Because I was like, I know Judon had like double-digit sacks. But, Judon, 32 years of age. He had 12.5 sacks.
There you go.
In 2022, I believe, or what have you. 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, he was banged up last year. I want to say he played the first 3 or 4 games of the year last year.
And who could blame him?
A bicep or a pec or something like that
Who could blame him for that Pat season last year? But, yeah, he's headed to
Win healthy,
Atlanta.
He's solid.
I like that Atlanta Falcons team, man. Like, I understand that they are the Falcons. They do funny things, but
great uniforms.
Okay, that's fair. But I think that they've added so much talent that's an NFC South that's not that solid. That Falcons team really could put themselves in a good place. Plus, I do think that Arthur Smith held them back quite a bit as a play caller offensively, but just as a head coach. Like, how? Look, I know that you were asking earlier as you're getting ready for fantasy draft time if Kyle Pitts is actually going to do some things. How about you get an offensive coordinator that actually wants to utilize his best players?
You'd be silly not to. I mean, and Raheem Morris, who has been around this league, it was nice to see him get another opportunity. And now, because again, the interesting part about Raheem Morris being there now is that, you basically get out there instead of Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick was supposed to be the guy. Front office said no. Raheem gets an opportunity. Now we get to see in a wide open NFC South, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So look, salute to Matthew Judon actually making the hold in work for him, and I mean we're seeing that kind of happen. Not just the hold in itself, because look, they've litigated out the holdout. You're going to get charged big bucks that can't be waived if you hold out. So they're like, okay, why don't I just show up and not do anything? But shout out to him getting to a place where he's going to be utilized, and also shout out to the Patriots, I guess, ultimately deciding it's going to make more sense to just tear this thing down and use all the value that we can to move towards being good. But, man, the Patriots, if they're not careful, they absolutely, and I think Mike was talking about this earlier in the week, they absolutely could find themselves in a place where that nice little run where they became more visibly national but still existed as a regional team, they might fade back into that previous iteration of where they were.
No, I don't think it'll take that long. Or excuse me, let's put it this way. I don't know that it'll slide back to that, only because when you think of a team like the 49ers, right? I mean, that was a team that was a dynasty, had some issues with the quarterback. And I'm going to tell you right now, whether it's Drake May, because again, it's a quarterback that's gonna redeem them, or excuse me, they're a quarterback away from whether or not they get back to being the Patriots that we all know and love.
I think there's more, but fair. I mean,
it's a start. I mean, if you got the quarterback, then you build around it. I mean, it's a lot easier to build when you have a quarterback versus when you don't.
Absolutely, 100%. We will not argue on that.
And I will say this, Joe Milton. Again, I know it's a preseason game, but my man had a howitzer for an arm in college.
Always.
He might be your age, but stranger things have happened. And all you got to do is...
You're falling for the Joe Milton pump fake? And I don't say that with any disrespect to Joe Milton. I think that he's a fine quarterback. The thing about Joe Milton is he's one of those, he look the part all-star. Like, he does the things that make you go, ooh, I like that. But
all I'm going to say is
it all going to come together?
Brock Purdy found a way to be a serviceable NFL quarterback, late round guy.
That he did. Speaking of other rookie quarterbacks, unfortunately for J.J. McCarthy, the worst news was indeed the actual news here. J.J. McCarthy's 2024 season is officially over. So he's going to be sidelined until 2025. He underwent a surgery earlier today for a torn meniscus that happened during their preseason game this weekend. The hope was that maybe when they went in that it would not need a full,
Right, it wasn't going to be torn.
Yeah, it was going to be torn and need a full repair. Unfortunately, that was the case. So, Sam Darnold, come on down. You, once again, are the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Sam Darnold is a serviceable NFL quarterback. You're going to see that he showed flashes of respectability once upon a time with the New York Jets, and I can tell you why, because I had him at I almost won a fantasy league back in those days because he went off down the stretch like the last 5 or 6 games, and I want to say that might have been the end of the Adam Gase era, but Sam Darnold, who again I want to say was a lottery pick if I'm not mistaken from an NFL perspective.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Is he a good bridge quarterback? Yes. Is he going to shock the world? I doubt it, but you can do a lot worse. I wouldn't be surprised if this team wins 6 or 7 games. You've got Kevin O'Connell, the head coach.
That's right. A very good play caller, very good offensive mind.
Damn good play caller, all right? I mean, again, I'm not saying this team's going to win the NFC North, and that is a rough division nonetheless, but he'll make them respectable.
Yeah, see, here's the thing about Sam Darnold, right? I hear what you're saying there, and I've had the thought that, I'm interested in seeing what it looks like for 2 or 3 seasons in a row, because he was the backup in Carolina, and then he was the backup in San Francisco. Yeah. I think that he might just be in the place of he will not thoroughly bleep it up.
That's it. That's what you're getting out of him,
but
right?
That kind of quarterback is great for about 3 games if you need him. You're going to have him for 17 of them things.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying he's gonna light the world on fire. And hey, if he only wins you 2 or 3 games, it's the perfect setup if you're the Minnesota Vikings, right? Because you just go back and say, we've got Sam Darnold as our quarterback. We gave you J.J. McCarthy. That was our guy that we expected. And if you're a Vikings fan, you know going into this year, 6 is the ceiling, no wins is the floor.
Some other things quickly before we move it along. Mark Andrews was in a serious car accident apparently Wednesday morning, this morning, in Baltimore County. Thankfully, he avoids injury, but I mean, which with Mark Andrews, you got to say, because he has had a few injuries. Obviously, not particularly with this, but yeah, Baltimore County police officer responded to a crash at 9:45 a.m. About a mile and a half from the Ravens facility, but thankfully, no injuries were reported, and so everybody gets out unscathed, thankfully. But yeah, that's always wild when you see things like that. Also, we mentioned the joint practice earlier with the Cowboys and the Rams. Matthew Stafford left that practice with a hamstring issue. Does that give you any level of pause over there for them?
Well, a little bit. I mean, he's got to be, 36, 37 years old? I mean, how old is our boy Matthew Stafford at this stage? He might not be that old. I mean, it seems like he's been in the NFL for a gazillion years. And then you got Jimmy Garoppolo, who, from everything I've read, has not looked great in training camp. And, oh, by the way, he's going to miss the first 2 games of the season because of his
that's right,
substances or whatever the hell he was taking. So
I'm sorry, if
just being too damn handsome.
Can I press pause real quick?
Yeah.
I did forget this as a staple of the show. Matthew Stafford, he's 36!
He is 36.
Anyways, continue. Sorry.
And so you got that going on for you, right? And then, of course, you got Jimmy G. Might be the most handsome man in the National Football League, but he's out for 2 games. So who's your third string at that point?
It's funny.
Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Duh. You ready for the Stetson Bennett era? The
Gross.
4th, by the way.
That is Stetson.
Don't see that a lot.
Stetson Fleming Bennett the 4th.
Man, if that's not a white guy name, I don't know what is.
Bougie ass name. That's an SEC name for you.
Yeah, it is.
Good thing they played at Georgia.
That or maybe Ivy League, too. I could see like a Dartmouth quarterback being named that.
All right. Real quick before we go, that's
sir.
around the NFL here on the Get Right. I do want to, I've told you that we'll open up the lines for you. 877-881-1053, and I will hold true to that. Aaron in Buffalo. Oh, we're covering the contiguous
Northeast.
United States. Aaron, what's happening,
Was that Buffalo, Wyoming?
Hey, congrats, Reggie. You deserve it. You'll be missed. I'm hoping you, Mike, and Corey can get Kevin to throw headphones on Friday.
Ooh.
Congrats and good luck.
I appreciate that, Aaron. I didn't realize that is now has to be something that I aim for. I don't know if Friday's the day to do it. I think tomorrow might be the day to do it. But yeah, let's go after Kevin Hagelin tomorrow on the KNC Masterpiece. But right now, this is the Get Right.
Yeah, it is.
You can always get involved with the program, 877-881-1053. That is the text line, but that's also where you can call in on my final Get Right voyage here on 105 through the Fan. Coming up next, we go back out to California, not to Oxnard, though, L.A., Hollywood, with our guy Dave Helman of Fox Sports. We'll talk football, maybe college football, in fact.
Okay.
We'll do that next on The Fan.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
For the Get Right on 105.3 The Fan.
Yes, indeed. It is the Get Right here on 105.3 The Fan. Reggie Adetula alongside Fred Davis. We got Kevin Walker's on the ones and twos, and you rolling with us on my final Get Right voyage here at 105.3 The Fan. It is a Wednesday evening. We're having a blast taking you to midnight tonight. Get involved with the program, 877-881-1053. That's the number to text and the number to call if you would like to call in and say something nice on this final Get Right for me personally. We got a couple hours, but right now we turn to the phone lines for one of the most prolific Get Right guests because he is willing to do it whenever. And whenever, again, is tonight. He is the man who hosts the NFL on Fox podcast. His name is David Alphonse Helman. David, what's happening?
That's better than my real middle name. I like that a lot. Man, thank you so much for letting me be part of your final Get Right. Like, there's nowhere I'd rather be, dude. What's going on?
Not much, brother. We're just eating up the time, talking to the Tolos, enjoying things. What's going on with you? Like, going into another season, actually, let's cut the crap. Like, you know, I want to talk football with you about as much as you want to talk football in this moment. As a man who has had to move, best moving advice from David Helman is?
Oh, yeah. That is in your future, isn't it?
It is.
Man, let me tell you what. Just pay for the movers. Spend the money wherever you need to. Like, obviously, you know, you're moving cities, so you're going to need to do that anyway. But hire people to move it into the house for you. As much as you can do, you will be grateful that you spent the money, even if it stretches your budget a little bit, because we're getting older, man. Like, you don't need to throw your back out or break your thumb or do any of that other nonsense that can happen when you're moving heavy furniture around, and you'll just be less stressed out and not in pain. You won't have to inconvenience any of your friends or family. Like I said, even if it stretches the budget a little bit, it's money well spent. I promise you.
If you couldn't tell that David Helman is from the Brian Broaddus School of Life.
Well, you can tell.
There you go.
Broke your thumb. That sounds personal.
It sure is. I got the cast off today. And you know how I broke my thumb? Moving damn furniture around. Ooh. Because my life has been in constant uproar ever since I moved out here to the West Coast. So take it from me. Don't spend a month with your thumb in a cast and just pay for somebody else to handle all that crap for you.
Non-throwing hand?
Thankfully, yes. It's my non-dominant hand. So life could have been a lot worse, but it still wasn't fun.
All right, Helman, I'm going to ask you the generic Cowboys questions, and I want your responses. CeeDee Lamb gets signed when?
Oh, I looked this up. I was talking about this on Speak today on FS1. You realize today was the day that Zach Martin signed. So like for as much as we wring our hands and obviously it's a big story and I get that, but like Zach didn't show up until this far into camp last year. So we're still right in line. I'm not going to go as far as to say I'm surprised that it's not done yet, but we're getting to where it needs to happen. Basically, I think CD needs to be back with the team by the time they head back to Texas. So I think that's like the 21st or something like that. So that it gives them another week. I'll say like Monday or Tuesday of next week, if not before that, is what I'm thinking.
Mr. Helman, you're on the West Coast, so I'm guessing obviously you cover all things National Football League. Two-part question. Number one, we're hearing a lot of Jaden Daniels love being NFC East guys, and the fact that this Washington Commander team could, and I stress could in asterisk, have a Houston Texan-like rebound this year when you look at the makeup of the roster and kind of the similarities between both teams, especially at the quarterback role. Where do you fall in that, or am I tripping when I say that? And number two, as we get older, do you get lesser or fewer mayonnaise jokes nowadays?
That's fine. I'll start with the second one just because that's been fresh on my mind. Like honestly, at this point, I'm turning 36 this year.
Okay.
I'd say it doesn't happen as often as it used to. I know. I'm getting up there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen as often as it used to.
I'd imagine.
Like maybe there are a couple people in my life who to this day call me like mayo or mayonnaise. But it doesn't really happen often. But then when some nonsense happens, like the Will Levis Hellman's mayonnaise perfume that came out, people have been hitting me up about that all week where they're like, oh my God, did you see this? Or, people in the work Zoom will be like, I bet like, are you part of the Helman family, Dave? And I'm like, if I was part of that Helman family, I wouldn't need a job. So
I wouldn't be talking to y'all.
Yeah, I get it. I get it less. Man, I'm excited about the Commanders. Obviously, I mean, I went to LSU. Jaden Daniels is my guy. I see the Commanders being a frisky team. I like what they did this year. I think a lot of people laughed at the moves they made and, Austin Eckler's washed and Zach Ertz is washed and, these guys aren't actually that good. But consider how bad the Commanders were and how few parts of their roster are good. I think it's a great starting point for a number 2 overall pick to be in. It's obviously not as good as the situation in Chicago, but that's a very unique circumstance. But you look at Washington's roster, and you're like, man, for a team that drafted number 2 overall, I see the vision. Like the bones of a decent team are there, and so I think they're going to be fun. I think they'll probably be a tough out. I can't help but think that Dan Quinn just does not have enough talent on that defense to make them truly formidable. There's a couple players I like. Jonathan Allen's like one of the most underrated players in the NFL, in my opinion. But, I don't think Dan got his Micah Parsons yet. He kind of fell into that when he got to Dallas. I don't think even he knew he was going to have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And I just don't see that guy. So I don't think there's enough there that I take the Commanders seriously as like a threat to win the division or anything, or even have a winning record. But I do think they'll be a pain in the butt for a lot of teams this year. I think they'll be fun.
Talking to Dave Helman, NFL on Fox podcast, right here on 105 through the Fan. And Helman, we're going to do a little take jukebox here right quick. Just NFL thing that's been on your mind that you just like, I kind of want to get this off my chest.
It's a good day for that. I just filmed the new episode of the pod. You can check it out tomorrow. Where, spoiler alert, not to ruin it, I guess, but we talked about teams that we think are getting overlooked, teams that I don't think you're going to hear a lot about this preseason that I like a lot. I won't give you all of them because please go download the podcast if you're interested in that. But I'll just say, kind of in a similar line of what I was just talking about with Washington, I'm excited to see the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals are a fun team, a better team than the average NFL fan realizes. And when you consider that this time last year, we were having serious conversations about, like, are they tanking? Like, because they looked so bad, and Kyler Murray was coming off the injury, and it was just like, is this team even going to come within 20 points of anybody all year? And not only did they do that, but, like, they were surprisingly frisky and fun. And now they have Marvin Harrison Jr., some of those young guys are coming along. Kyler looked like Kyler in the second half of last year. I'm not trying to sell you on the Cardinals as like a Super Bowl contender, but I could see Arizona being a team who, you know, at some point in the year, they're in the playoff mix and everybody's like, what the hell? We did not see that coming. So I'm trying to jump on that bandwagon early and say, take a look at the Cardinals because I think they're pretty fun.
I like it. I like it quite a bit.
I love that. I really, really do. Sticking on the West Coast, a team not far from you over in Vegas, and that being the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm saying this because one of my closest friends is a diehard Vegas Raiders fan. And so, and again, the Raiders are one of those teams where it just feels like the NFL is a lot more fun, which is hard to say. I mean, the NBA is better with the Knicks, yada, yada. But the NFL does seem like it's a little bit more fun when the Raiders are good. That being said, Antonio Pierce was playing with house money last year. I mean, literally anybody could have walked in there and after Josh McDaniels, and it would have felt like, okay, we're all supporting him. What are you? What's kind of your take on what kind of coach Antonio Pierce is, and is it hard to judge him, or are we gonna have to kind of delay that until he gets a real quarterback?
I kid you not, Fred. I am so serious. The Raiders are another team I highlighted in my podcast.
Okay.
And I wanna be clear. I'm not trying to predict playoff teams that nobody's talking about. I don't see the Raiders making the playoffs. I don't think I see the Raiders even flirting with a winning record. But I do think that the Raiders are just a better team than anybody in the league wants to give them credit for, other than the very, very obvious problem that they have the worst quarterback situation in the NFL.
Yeah.
But you look at and obviously that is so important. I'm not trying to downplay that. But you look at the rest of the roster, and you're like, man, this offensive line is pretty nice. Devontae Adams, I think, still has the juice. You got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer there at tight end. Zamir White at running back, we'll see what he is, but all the word out of training camp is that he's an exciting young player, played at Georgia. They know a thing or two about producing good running backs. You look at that talent on offense, and then the Raiders might have the best pass rush in the NFL. They're certainly going to be on the short list. Like, I don't think the Raiders are going to win a lot of games, but I can't wait to flip over and watch Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins playing with each other. And, oh, by the way, Malcolm Kuntz, who I don't think the average NFL fan is really aware of, had 8 sacks last year. So that's 3 horses you got. That Raiders defense was feisty last year. So I think AP is he's the classic motivator, locker room guy. I think the culture is going to be good in Vegas. I do think that only goes as far as your quarterback is willing to take you. And that's like, I'm not saying you need to take them seriously, but I think the Raiders are a lot closer to being a good team than people realize. And I'm stealing this from somebody else, but it's fascinating to think about. What if Michael Penix Jr. had fallen to Vegas? What if
I think that's what they were expecting, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have kind of theorized that maybe Vegas just thought he would be there. And if he was, we would be talking about this team in a completely different way. I mean, and obviously we don't know how good Michael Penix Jr. is going to be, but even the hope of a rookie franchise quarterback would make this such a compelling team. So if I had to guess, the Raiders are probably going to take their lumps this year, but next year they will be in a position to go after a quarterback. And when they get one, I think the pieces will be there for them to be a pretty damn good team.
Okay. I think you're hitting on all the takes that I particularly like. And for this, you know exactly where I'm going. We got to go to a little bit of college football because it wouldn't be a Dave Helman visit if we didn't. With the new college football game, are you I'm playing with my favorite team, which of course would be LSU, or are you bringing some team in the mid-major space? I know that's not what we call them, or some group of 5 team into the prominence that they deserve in the game.
The way I do it is I'll play with LSU until I get a handle on the controls in the playbook. But like, I'm not interested in playing more than like a handful of games with LSU. Like, that's not fun. And literally, I told you, Reg, I told you what I would be doing. I paused my game. I've got Louisiana Tech in the conference championship game. If we win, we're sneaking into the playoffs as a mid-major. And if we lose, then we're probably getting stuck in like the Bahamas Bowl or whatever. So like, yeah, it's all about the mid-major. I took Louisiana Tech from terrible to the best mid-major program in the country. And now, you know, I got my eyes on the Power 5 whenever this season's over with. We got big plans as soon as we're done playing.
How much time do you feel like it's the recruiting aspect of the game? Because I just broke my college football 25 cherry last week with my 16-year-old son, and as much as I enjoyed it, and look, I'm 43 years old, so I'm an old head when it comes to, I played the old school college football video game back in the day, but my God, dude, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I got to go to bed. Like, I just can't do I got to live. I got a life to lead. Like, how did they overdo it with the recruiting?
No, absolutely not. I mean, yeah, you got to be a little bit of a sicko to run a successful dynasty.
You do.
Fortunately, I think it's just like good recruiting in real college football. Like, if you're good enough at it, you can kind of put it on autopilot. You kind of, you get your early commits. You commit some time to this guy, and you're like, all right, I can put this on the back burner. I've got 8 to 10 recruits. I'm good. And then I love they put some real deal thought into this, because obviously at Louisiana Tech, like, you're not recruiting at a top tier level. So what do? I just hit the transfer portal when the season's over and convince some unhappy 4-star and from the SEC to come play for me. So I just swoop in when the season's over and steal all the unhappy players. It's perfect. It's worked out very well for me. So I got no complaints.
I've often called him Primetime David Helman, host of the NFL on Fox podcast, frequent guest of the Get Right, and beloved friend. Dave, I appreciate you. Miss you, my man.
Love you, Reg. Wherever you go, you got a fan in me, buddy, and I appreciate it, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
Excellent. There he goes. David Helman, NFL on Fox podcast. You heard some of the things. Make sure to check out the podcast. The man does good work. It's the Get Right here on 105.3 The Fan. Phone lines remain open if you feel inclined to call in and say some things on what is my final Get Right program here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, though, I do have an interesting question for you here, Fred. Obviously, we saw what the offseason was for these Dallas Cowboys, return of Ezekiel Elliott. Are we too low on the Cowboys run game? No. We'll discuss that next on The Fan.
Gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs?
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No,
Nutmeg Maidens?
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
Conversations about documentaries. A good documentary as
Boy,
the
don't
30
we
for
sound like a bunch
30.
of old geezers.
Hey, man.
Love a good doc.
I've never been afraid, rather, of sounding like a geezer. So yeah, let's big shout out to Ken Burns and the 30 for 30 is right in this moment.
10 or 12. What do we got?
So you let me know where we're supposed to go here right now.
I'm not even sure Kevin knows right now.
Yeah, Kevin's trying to figure it out. He's holding it down. I
Boy.
appreciate you doing the work that you do.
My man swimming back there.
Okay. All right. I got you.
Okay. All right. So what are we doing? What's happening?
Well, this next caller is pretty important.
Okay.
So
All right.
here you
Important
go.
caller. What's happening?
Well, I don't know about important, but hey, Reg. Hey, Fred. How are you?
Doing quite
Doing well,
well.
sir.
That is boss man himself, Tim Collins. He is the associate program director, correct?
Yeah, you know, I'm whatever. I'm whatever.
There you go.
So,
Jack of all trades,
I
master of none.
I realized I was like, what is technically your title? Because I always just call you boss man.
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything along with Gavin Spittle, who, you know, really runs the place. But I'm only going to take up a minute of your time because I know you've got someone much more important waiting in the wings.
Okay.
But first of all, I mean, obviously it's been said over and over, but Reg, I really seriously want to congratulate you on a fantastic move. You're going to be going down to work for one of our guys, you know, going back to your hometown. I know Houston very well. I know Houston very well. So first of all, congratulations, and very, very well earned and deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate that greatly. And I think I tweeted at you, but I appreciate you hiring a dude to do a little bit of radio and giving him an opportunity to take these steps and have this opportunity. Because if you do not know out there, dear listener, this man is the reason why I am at 105 Through the Fan, why I've had the opportunity to do all the fun things that I have here at 105 Through the Fan.
Yeah, and it's a group effort. It's a group effort between myself and Gavin. The only other thing I wanted to tell you was thank you for carrying on the tradition of the evening show. And if everyone or anyone doesn't know, it's a cycle here at 105 Through the Fan, and it allows us to hire bright, energetic, young, talented people, one of which is waiting in the wings to talk to you. And we just keep the track running. And it allows us also, and thank you for paving the way that for those that are going to come behind you. So that's all I wanted to say. Fred, I'm so happy you're here. Reggie, I'm so happy for you, and rock on, man. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Tim. Tim
Thanks,
Collins. He is the APD here at 105 Through the Fan. Been a very a very valued mentor, been a confidant for me personally, and I appreciate him greatly. And no, he's not wrong, right? This time slot, I know that there's going to be people that miss me as an individual, but this time slot has facilitated a lot of fun on this program. You enjoy the G-Bag Nation. Obviously, you had Eric and Zach in this slot. Kane C were in the slot. Hell, the G-Bag Nation itself started in this slot. So it's a great place to be when it comes to the Fan, and I hope that you continue to support it, dear listener. Fred, you'll still be here, I'm sure, as well.
I'll still log a few hours in the nighttime show.
Love to hear it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And if I'm reading this right, a man who's familiar with this time slot is joining us. My man, what's happening?
What if I told you the 30 for 30 that they would do on the origination of the Get Right would see two individuals be able to start together, become lifelong friends and brothers, and more importantly, be forever tied to each other? Reg, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, not much. So are we getting this Get the Right thing back together? Because apparently that's what everybody thinks.
Those rumors are unfounded and untrue. So unfortunately, that will not be the case. But that would have been one hell of a reunion, I can tell you that. Maybe when we get the the reunion tour down the road at some point, we'll tell that story. But no, man. Number one, I wanted to call you at this time slot because I got to get ready to go to bed here soon. I got a 7-year-old that's got to get up at 6 a.m. So I got to get ready, get her ready. And your niece is in the bed and already ready to go to school tomorrow. But more importantly, Reg, first of all, congratulations. I'm so happy for you, my guy, and I'm proud of you, man. It's to see where you have come from and what you've been able to achieve. And for me to be able to be a small part of your journey is one of the great things for me to experience in my career, man. And the story of us being able to put this show together and to see where we were able to take it and the legacy that you continue to carry with it after you told me it was time to get out of here so you could run the show yourself.
That's right.
Has been phenomenal to see, man. So. I'll tell a quick story because I know you'll appreciate it because this is how meticulous Reg is when it comes to his preparation and his work. So when we were coming up with the show of the Get Right, we were throwing names back and forth trying to figure out, what the name of the show was going to be. I would throw one out and he'd be like, nah, Kev, I don't know if I'm feeling that one. He'd throw one out to me. I'm like, nah, Reg, I don't know if he's feeling that one. But we finally came up with one and he was like, hey, I got it. He's like, the Get Right. And I thought about it. And I don't know if I've ever told you this part, but at first I wasn't for real feeling it. But then as I marinated on it a little bit more, it felt right because I knew what we have built together, what we were going to build together, it was going to be right. And to get it right, you got to start with the Get Right. Yep. So, I appreciate the way that you have made me better as a broadcaster, but most importantly, the listener has become much better because of you being on the airwaves. So you are not just a friend for life, my man. You are a brother for life. There are very few people who I let in from a personal standpoint to the point where they come to know my wife and my family and even hold my child. And you are one of those people. So I want you to know how much of a special place you have in my heart, man. And I'm so thrilled to see and hear what you're going to be doing down there in Houston, my guy.
I appreciate that, my man. I'm very proud of myself for not tearing up during that particular segment of thing.
I was trying to make it happen too.
Boy, you came close.
Yeah.
Came close.
Yeah. And from the 6, 7, 8, as we're trying to make dreams come true out here. This week, baby.
Oh man, this week, man, that was the other thing too, man. All the things this week. You making fun of my age constantly on the air. You let me know that I'm, was 36 at the time. Everything that we came up with between my favorite segment, This or That, or I'm sorry, are we getting a This or That tonight? I hope we get some This or That because I want that for sure on the last show. Wow, of course.
You can't always get what
Fred,
you want.
Need to make him do this or that, please. Before,
I don't have it planned. You can say that. It's not planned. It's not. That is fair. That is fair.
Okay. All right,
Kate. All right, my man.
Are you throwing me off the air? Is that what you're doing? I felt like there was a real pregnant pause there where you're like, get the hell off the air. And so I can run and talk about Ezekiel Elliott or something like he's finna do something. But anyway,
wow. Okay, well, look, let's bring you into the segment then, since you want to hang out so bad. No, okay, so yo man's
segue. What a segue.
Yo man's Maurice Jones-Drew. Yeah, yo man's Maurice Jones-Drew put out an interesting piece earlier today on NFL.com. Where he listed out
right there.
He ranked.
Jesus, stop right there.
Okay, all right. I know sometimes MJD goes big as an analyst. However,
you lost me at MJD put out something on NFL.com. You could have left it out, right? You could have stopped right there.
However, when it comes to running backs, you have to understand he is an expert in that way. He put out a ranking, and as you go through the ranking, obviously you have someone like clearly Christian McCaffrey is number 1. He has Derrick Henry still very high in this list. As you're running through it, you get to, obviously, that Ezekiel Elliott is diminished, and he acknowledges that. However, he has Ezekiel Elliott ranked as 25 on the list of the top 32 running backs in the NFL, and that feels fair, I imagine. But you go further down the list, and at 29, he has Tony Pollard here, who was the lead back for this running back, for this team last year. And this team, running-wise, was middling, right? But Ezekiel Elliott, I understand that we view him as he's definitely not the Ezekiel Elliott of before. And I know that we also had negative feelings just because of the framework of his contract. Is it possible that he still has just a little bit, and possibly that the running or the blocking could be a little bit better? You look at Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, and those are probably the best guard pairing, maybe the top 3 if you want to stretch this guard pairing in the league. You have the strength on the offensive line. And I am judging off of a preseason game, but it looked like they were blocking up the run a little bit better. Is it possible that we've somehow gotten a little too negative on the Cowboys run game headed into the season?
Maybe if you're a believer in the running back by committee that they're going to, deploy this year between Zeke, Rico Dowdle, we'll see what Malik Davis, possibly has, if Royce Freeman comes back from injury. There's a lot of guys in that room that they're trying to squeeze and figure out, who's going to be as productive as they can be behind it. Like somebody's got to establish themselves as the lead back, and I would hope that would be, Rico Dowdle in this case. I mean, honestly, Zeke has so much mileage on him at this point, and even with him being as effective as he was, especially in the second half of the year, last year for New England as a pass catcher when he was doing, there's still a lot of wear and tear on that body. And I feel like if the Cowboys are going to be as successful as they believe they can in the run game, it starts with Rico Dowdle being your quote-unquote feature back and Zeke being a situational guy. Like his ability maybe on, third and short, fourth and short, goal line situation where he can really be able to use his physicality. Yeah, that makes sense, but Zeke at this point in his career, for me, veteran leadership can bring you a certain measure of physicality. Leadership, obviously, he's going to bring for the entire football team, but this is not a team that should feature Ezekiel Elliott as its number one back. Like, I believe Tony Pollard's a better back at this point, than Zeke is. I think there's more explosion with Tony Pollard and that kind of thing. So, to the idea of Maurice Jones-Drew's list, I don't think he has it right when it comes to who is the better backup between those two. But, yeah, the Cowboys, hopefully Zeke will find some more holes because he can be able to run through what should be a good offensive line, particularly, as you mentioned, with the guard play of Tyler Smith and Zach Martin. But hopefully – more so for Terrence Steele on that right side as well. Hopefully he can kind of get back to some of that form that we know is, especially as a run blocker. So Zeke may find some success, but I'm not particularly counting on it, if you're asking me.
Am I wilding, Fred? Am I wilding here?
What, that we're not giving them enough credit?
Yeah, have we gotten too negative, too down on this running game? I mean, I'm not going to say it's
down
great.
enough. I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, I mean, if we go into this season and Zeke Elliott is your number one running back, I mean, that just adds to the list of folly that has been the Cowboys offseason. I mean, you could almost argue that the running back room is a microcosm of just how dysfunctional this offseason has been for this Dallas Cowboy team. Throw into the fact that, I keep hearing about how Rico Dowdle can't stay healthy. He's going into year 4. Outside of year 2, when he only suited up for 5 games, year 1, he suited up for 15. Last year, he suited up for 16. Okay? So 2 out of 3 seasons, he's been there almost every game. So this idea that he's been injury-plagued, yes, year 2 he was. But the other 2 seasons, he just wasn't good. He just wasn't, and I get it. Maybe your rookie year, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because
you had Zeke and
you had Zeke and a healthy Pollard. But what was his excuse last year? All right. I mean, you had the opportunity last year. And again, this is an NFL where if you're a running back, all right, I mean, it's not, I mean, we've devalued it so much to where a guy like a Rico Dowdle should be able to come in if you're that dude or if you've got
Pacheco did
ability
in
of that dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, again, that's a little bit different deal as far as Isaiah Pacheco. But see, here's the difference between Isaiah Pacheco and Rico Dowdle. Isaiah Pacheco sees the opportunity. Yeah. And guess what? Rico and Isaiah Pacheco, for all intents and purposes, is a good NFL running back. Rico Dowdle, again, we're going into year 4, and what Bill Parcells say? By year 3, we know who you are at that point. Now, again, maybe year 2 kind of set him back a little bit. But, again, I'm just Rico Dowdle, Zeke Elliott, Malik Davis, who's not lighting the world on fire, and 5'0" Deuce Vaughn. I mean, that's what we're going. That's what we're going into. I mean, look, I know that's your team and all e-ball, but you got a better chance at running the rock.
Okay, all right.
Than our boy Deuce Vaughn.
Okay. Well, I was trying to see. I saw that MJD, KG's favorite, put out a list, and it got me thinking.
Not at all.
KG,
not at all.
I love you, my man. Like you said, you're very 100% correct, man. We're brothers, and I don't know what else to say that won't make me cry.
You're still terrible at dismounts.
That's right. That's right. And so you know what? I'm just gonna ignore the dismount. KG, talk to you later, buddy.
Wait. Before I go.
All right.
First of all, thank you for that. Number two, Fred, as a fellow Midwestern, I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri.
Hey! Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to the now defunct Hickman Mills High School.
Hickman Mills. What, you guys were purple and yellow, were you not?
Hell no.
You asked him the wrong question.
Brown and white.
You asked him the wrong question.
We were the Cougars. What? We were the Cougars. Yeah, we were the Hickman Mills High School Cougars, class of 2005. Shout out to us.
The right question was where'd he go to college?
Oh, wait. Are you a K-Stater?
Worse.
Hell no.
Oh, you a Mizzou guy?
No. That's right. Black and gold, baby.
M-I-Z.
Black and gold, baby.
M-I-Z. You know what I have a beef with, though? You know how many times, I'm just going to say this since I got you on here.
Sorry, boss. The clock is dead.
There's been so many times. So my cousin, who's like a brother to me, we grew up together. He played football at Mizzou. And, of course, being the superior journalism school, the William Allen White School of Journalism, when you say rock chalk to anybody that went to KU, when you say rock chalk, they look back and they say either rock chalk or Jayhawk. How many times I've seen somebody in a Mizzou shirt and I say M-I-Z and they just crickets, nothing. Very, very disheartening.
He said y'all not real.
Very disheartening that I don't see the same kind of love.
That's because we have good sense and recognize who's,
Is that what y'all call it? Is that what y'all call it?
We got good sense, the best journalism school in the country. But yeah, it is what it is. But I wanted to say I was disappointed that you didn't bring, some Gates with you, some Arthur Bryant's with you, something.
I am a Gates guy. But man, I've been out of the Midwest you got to remember, I came here from Houston though. So
okay.
I've been out of the Midwest for a minute. I haven't been. As a matter of fact, I will put it like this. I graduated from the University of Kansas in 2007, and outside of my son being...
That's unfortunate.
Well,
that's okay.
Hey, look, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. We're still waiting on a tournament win for you guys.
Relax.
That's what I like.
Relax.
That's what I like.
What you guys won? How many games you guys win in the SEC this past season?
They're actually pretty good football-wise.
No, I'm talking about basketball.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about
I forgot. Yeah, y'all basketball school.
I'm talking about basketball.
Forgot about that.
I'm just saying.
I don't recognize Mizzou as a basketball program in the SEC these days.
Yeah, nobody else does either.
Touche.
Well, that's nice.
But you know what? Hey, I'll tell you what, though. I appreciate, I'll say this and I'll shut up. I'll say this because I lived in Columbia for a hot minute once upon a time. And I will say this. Missouri is a sleeping giant if it really wanted to be. Because I'm going to tell you right now, between St. Louis, Kansas City, and the Ozarks, y'all got nobody to recruit against. And there is a lot of talent in those three areas. You got world-class facilities and maybe the cherry on top, still a Nike school. Somehow, some way, get it together, Mizzou. Get it together.
I would agree with that. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for letting me barge in on your show. And Reg, again, congratulations, my guy. I'm proud of you. And I'll be seeing you soon, my guy. I'll be seeing you real soon.
Yes, sir. There he goes. Kevin Gray. I was about to say, he deserves a little bit of congratulations himself. Go ahead and hit him up at Kevin Gray Sports on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, because he's also having some moving on up situations there. So get right here on 105.3 The Fan. We talked a little bit about Jordan Phillips being added to the Cowboys.
We did.
We'll circle around and talk a little bit about that as well coming up next, but it's typically time for sharing time. Only God knows what we talk about. We'll do that next on The Fan.
Coming up Thursday morning on Sean and RJ, what's going on in your hood? It's the Neighborhood Watch at 7:40, plus Brian Broaddus and Nick Harris from Oxnard. It's a Thursday morning on The Fan.
Hi, this is Chuck Cooperstein for Autoflex Leasing. We all...
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen that before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean like your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean like this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
With you alongside Fred Davis here on 105 through the fan. Text in 877-881-1053. What are your moving tips, as I will be doing that here shortly. It's my last week at 105 through the fan.
T-minus.
So yeah, T-minus a few days.
You got everything boxed up yet or what?
That's cute. I have some things boxed up, and there are some things that are not boxed up, and I still have 2 more days, man. We're working through it as we do it. I very much fly by the seat of my pants, as you might be able to tell from this very
But
program.
you've known. I mean, you got the job what, a week ago, week plus,
basically.
Yeah, so you've had time.
Sure.
So you're just
But yeah,
you're just waiting until the end.
That's right. We're making it happen as best we can. But yeah, man, any and all tips will be accepted and appreciated on the text line on what
Mostly medium or large size boxes.
No large boxes, medium and small boxes. Large boxes end up being kind of dicey because you got to like stack stuff on top of each other, and sometimes that stuff doesn't stack well.
Well, you're talking. I mean, this sounds like a moving neophyte, is what you sound like. I mean, look, if you're not doing large boxes, then what are we doing? Look, I am a moving mercenary.
Okay.
I mean, I'll put it to you like this: when I made the move, and it's so bizarre because, I mean, I made the move that you made only inversely,
sure.
3 months ago. So, yeah, I mean, I moved a 3-bedroom house in about 48 hours. And now I got to give a shout out to my daughter because her and her friend came and helped me. But I'm of the, pack everything up, get rid of a bunch of crap, and then just go about your business. So, my advice, and again, I disagree with some folks. And if you've only got a 1-bedroom apartment, now, here's the real question. What floor is your apartment on now?
First floor.
Okay. The apartment you're moving to, what floor is it on?
4th floor. With elevators. We got elevators. We're going to make it work.
Okay, so you got elevators.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you got a 1-bedroom apartment, correct?
Yeah.
I'd move that. I'd almost move that by myself because I'm not right.
I'm glad that you
right. I'm not right.
I'm glad you acknowledged that part because I was like, who's not moving a 7.5-foot couch by his lonesome? This guy. Not happening.
Well, now that sort of stuff, you definitely do need to grab somebody. Yeah. And so, but that's what I'm saying. But you got somebody coming up. I mean, you got friends or family coming up here. You said you got 2 little brothers, right?
I got 2
How
little
old are your brothers?
19 and 16.
Able-bodied young men is what you're saying. No, it's a rite of passage. Hey, look, fellas, we're coming up here. We're moving this, and this. Let's go. Especially if your apartment that you got now is on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, to me, that's a family affair right there. Shout out Mary J. Blige. Yeah, but yeah, that's a family affair. You get everybody there. And again, you don't have to coerce them with beer and pizza. It's, hey.
Yeah, they've got obligation out of blood.
You're my blood. Mm-hmm. I've done things for you.
But, buddy.
Y'all going to do this for me.
That can go other ways, man, because I vividly remember a horror story of moving my my late grandmother where she was a little bit of a pack rat, and we learned this in the course of that move.
Screwed.
Because she asked myself and my mom to help her move. And we're like, all right, cool. We got over there. We started doing stuff. We got in there, and she had a 3-bedroom apartment as a woman who was living by herself.
Yeah.
And one of those apartments was stacked to the brim with just stuff.
How much money did you find?
Not enough to make it worthwhile, I'll tell you that. But yeah, man. And then at some point, a couple hours into the process, she was like, all right, I'm going to work. And we were like, what do you mean? Like, nothing was packed.
Grandma just said, I'm
Yeah. So
I
am very cognizant of the ways that could scar a young man. I was like, hey, let me be careful about making sure that I don't do those types of things to others. But yeah, I'm interested in all tips on moving. Someone said rent a U-Haul. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Swaggy Booty said just use a furniture dolly and then keep a list of everything you got. Okay, I appreciate that.
Keep a list of everything you've got.
I feel like that's so that you know what's there, what's in what boxes. That's one of the big things.
Well,
I've always thought big time labeler, like make sure everything is labeled to the
I was gonna say gotta have the labels right.
Just write it down on the box.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely got to make. But write it down on multiple sides of the box because when you start stacking them, it's like, do you see the one place that you wrote it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
but you got like I said, you got a 1-bedroom apartment. And plus, that's half the fun of when you unload a box is, what do I got in here?
Wait,
I got this.
Fun is the word that you. Oh, so you're not qualified to give us any advice because
look, I'm gonna tell you
unpacking.
Right now,
you use the word fun.
Let me tell you something. My cousin flew me in to move his house.
Oh, you really are a mercenary.
When I tell you I'm a moving mercenary,
you're a sick man.
Hey, I'm real with it. Okay. I'm
you
surgical.
Busy Saturday?
To quote my boy Denzel from Training Day, I'm surgical with this.
All right.
When it comes to moving.
And I asked you, are you busy Saturday? Because the way that you talk,
man, look,
we might need to make something shake.
I am that sick that I'm.
Just as a recreational activity.
You know what? If I didn't have a show on Saturday,
you drive around and you're like, wait, is that somebody moving? Can I help them out?
No, I wouldn't. But here's the beauty of the Fred Davis mercenary moving ability is I don't do it just for anybody. Not say I would. Hey, if I didn't have a show on Saturday, I'll help you out.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. Also, the kind words that a lot of folks have said from 972. Congratulations. From the 903, be honest, Reggie, are you an Astros fan now? You're from Houston. It's cool. I think if you listen to me enough, you know that I don't really exist in that space of fandom.
Right.
Although Manchester United, I'll still let them ruin my weeks and weekends. That's the one sports
but you
team.
can do that from Houston to Dallas.
But yeah,
or Dallas to Houston, either way.
Yeah. Other than that, like I'm here for the incredible portions of sports, and we'll talk about things as best we can. Aside of that as well, but I appreciate all the help. Bubble wrap is a must. Bubble wrap isn't one that I've gone into. I use the packing paper.
I was gonna say newspaper packing.
I'm very
paper.
fond of the packing paper.
Either one works.
Neither one works, you say?
No, I said either one.
Oh,
no,
either one.
Oh, absolutely. No, either one works. You got hand towels, that sort of thing. Use those to, and really the only thing you need that for is glassware.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
plates and stuff like that.
Plates, that's it. But like I said, that's one of the things where okay, if I know I got plates in this box, and then again, when you go to start loading
right for
up
G-Lay on there.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Or for something much more adult like Legos.
Legos, you should have a bin for those at this point.
No,
wait, this is the thing. When I think Legos, I think this might be an age. Well, maybe not, because I think there's a lot of people that have moved through this. But when I think of Legos, I imagine, Fred, you're probably similar to me. You just think a whole bunch of blocks together that maybe some kids will stack together. I think a lot of people now think of like these sets that are like specifically designed like the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that.
2 boxes dedicated to Legos.
I kind of
like 2 medium-sized boxes.
And look, we are running through sharing time already, and this will start another fire that I imagine would be tough to put out in just a few moments. But I kind of think we've lost the plot on Legos. I think that the sets kind of stink. Like the fun of Legos is the imagination of these are blocks. What can you make them into? As opposed to here is a paint by numbers thing for you to do.
As a spokesperson for Lego, I cannot agree with that. I'm sorry.
You disagree with that hardcore?
I think every time Lego comes out with an ad, I just think they're trying to get a wire transfer from my bank account. I think Lego's got it. I think they still got their fastball.
I mean, hey, I got a good friend of mine. His wife, that's what she does, is Legos for the kids, Lego camps, and I think she does.
But with the instructions,
no, she's got sets, but she's also got it too, where it's just a big box of Legos, and sometimes she just lets the kids, let their imagination run wild.
Yeah, that's what Legos.
I think you do both.
Be.
I think there's a place for both.
Okay.
I was not a Lego person.
What was your bag?
I was a Hot Wheels car guy.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense. I see that.
Definitely did the Hot Wheels car. And then I'm also old enough to be a He-Man guy.
Oh, okay.
All
Action
right.
figures, I'm guessing.
I did a He-Man, and then once I grew out of that, your boy was out of it. That was it.
Okay.
He-Man and Matchbox. Matchbox and Hot Wheels.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
But this show's about you. Final hour of the program. I'm excited. I want to hear more. I'm curious to get your thoughts on, as somebody who's been in this market for as long as you've been, you know, when I came to Dallas, I'd been out of radio for a couple of years, but you've been a mainstay, as we've heard from everybody that's chimed in and said nothing but glowing things about you, and rightfully so. I'm curious to get your thoughts on leaving Dallas and going to its arch rival market, and kind of what are you most excited about as far as just from a radio perspective and just expanding and continuing to hone your craft, and what are you most nervous about when it comes to going from Dallas to Houston?
All right, I'm game. We'll do that in the final hour of the Get Right. That's coming up next right here on 105 through the Fan.
Text away your thoughts to the guys right now on the truckwreck.com fan text line at 877-881-1053. This is DFW Sports Station 1053 The Fan.
Gonna feel a puff of air.
Zhang's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell&Cordell. For over 3 decades, Cordell&Cordell has been on the front lines of family law. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, and St. Louis. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell&Cordell's Dallas-Fort Worth area attorneys. Joseph Cordell, principal partner. KordellCordell.com.
What seems to be the problem, my dehydrated damsel in distress?
The problem? Seriously? It's so hot brown is the new green. It's so hot I cut the pants off my pantsuit. It's so hot squirrels are icing their nuts.
Simmer down, melting maiden, for Specs wines, spirits, and finer foods will frost your flute with a shiver-inducing selection of ice-cold cocktails and frigid fermentations. Everything from frozen mixers to hundreds of ice-cold beers and the chilliest of chilled Chardonnays. How feels the Ice Queen now?
Specs' Arctic abundance of chilled choices has transformed this lady's Hades into a Siberian soiree. I need to raise a glass just to stay toasty.
You certainly put the zing in freezing. And with Specs' low prices, you'll have plenty of cold hard cash to keep you warm. You're welcome. Specs wines, spirits, and finer foods. Cheers to savings.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless...
listening. Thanks for making us a
Delaware.
part of your evening. Delaware, Buffalo. All sorts of places. Yeah, apparently, man. That's always been something that's been fascinating to me. Is just how wide-reaching this station can be.
Yeah.
Just earlier this week, I had someone that was texting in from
Abu Dhabi.
Well, there are people in the Middle East that do listen to the station. I know that confirmed. But then also listening from Phoenix, right? I mean, look, I think one of the things that helps is home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan, and the Cowboys really do exist as America's team. It's been a team that has a wide-reaching fan base, multiple countries all over the world, and so that comes with a lot of people, a lot of great people that have been so kind, and so. Look, we'll talk more. We still got a whole hour to go here on my final show of
in
Get Right.
Dallas. Let's just make that correct. Let's just make that official.
Yeah, my final Get Right.
Yes,
is the way that I have to put this. 360 Portland, Oregon, shouting out.
There you go.
Hey, go ahead and roll call for me. Oak Cliff
as well.
Showing up the 214. I see you. So yeah, keep coming through that way. All right, real quick, let's get you some headlines. Let's do it. We will talk about, we'll talk about me a little bit more, even though I don't love doing that. But look, I still feel the obligation to you, the listener, to make sure that we do the sports stuff of this. And one of the big sports things, we had some breaking news for your Cowboys earlier today as they went and acquired another defensive tackle, a spot that's been a little slim for them. Gets just a little bit more depth. As they went and they traded for the defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, who was a second-round pick in 2015. So what happens is
Kansas.
They ultimately bring him in, and they will get a 7th-round pick. They'll send out a 6th-round pick for that. So you get a chance to do, the moderate switches here on the back end, and 6th versus 7th-round pick is not going to scare you up too much. But you add a dude who has been in the league since 15, although there's been some instances where he hasn't played. You mentioned earlier that apparently he had given thought to retiring before he came back.
One of the
to play.
articles.
But that's a dude who is a veteran. When you look at that defensive tackle room, at least when you talk about the major defensive tackles in that room, Mozzie Smith obviously was a first-round pick last season. Mm-hmm. Justin Rogers is all of 22 years old. When you talk about the nose tackles, and there's also Denzel Daxon, who, I mean, look, I don't know if that's going to be a guy that factors in big to what you're doing here.
Great first name.
Yeah, and so adding another guy, a strong dude, 6'6", 340 is what I saw him listed at. I've seen people say 350 at times. So, like, big dude, he should be able to be some level of, he has some game, right? He's been in this league, so he should be able to have some wisdom to impart on the spot. And maybe, just maybe, he can come in and actually play in such a way that it's helpful for you as a team.
120 games of NFL experience. So again, this isn't like he's a quote unquote earth mover in the figurative sense, but in the literal sense, he very well may be one. And as we talked about with Brian Broaddus, and of course, definitely tune in tomorrow morning when he jumps on with Sean and RJ, and I'll give you guys a little more detailed breakdown. He never actually played a snap with the New York Giants. He spent the last couple seasons with the Buffalo Bills, signed with the New York Giants. And then, of course, from what our boy Broaddus was saying, was that he might have been a camp casualty, but might as well flip him for something. You get a 6th-round pick out of the deal. And so as a result of that, if you're the Cowboys, you get a 7th-round pick in return, and you get a guy who, again, I don't think he's going to be much of a difference from a stat filler type of guy, stat sheet kind of guy, but in the locker room and having a little bit of extra depth, which, as we've seen, Reggie, especially on that offensive line, you can never have enough depth.
Yeah, absolutely. And Broaddus, on his Twitter account, at Brian Broaddus, just, 30 minutes ago said, because when we talked to him at 9:20, he said that he was going to get off the air with us and go and look at things. Apparently he did, and he said, and I'll read this verbatim, quote, if you just studied the Dallas-Buffalo game from last season, this is a no-brainer trade for the Cowboys. Phillips was an issue in that contest, close quote. So, I mean, you know how teams can be sometimes when they see a guy that value or what they saw on that field matters to them a good amount. When he played with Buffalo last year or 2 years ago, last season, he posed an issue. So, hey, maybe he can pose that same level of issue on the Cowboys' opponents in this 2024 season.
It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Again, you can never have, like I said, you can never have enough veteran leadership, and for a position that's that's been a position, I don't want to say weakness, but
it hasn't been a position of strength. And that spine of the defense, we talk about it all the time. It's super important, particularly for what Mike Zimmer wants to do. First and foremost, stop the run. Have that gumming up the works in there and then let those linebackers play free, go do what they need to do. So, hopefully Jordan Phillips will come in and be helpful for you. Defensive tackle.
Boomer
Cowboys
Sooner.
went and got him. Yes, absolutely.
He's feeling some type of way about that.
I'm sure he is. Some other headlines on this day. Your Texas Rangers get a win. Win the battle, not the war, when it comes to the series against the Boston Red Sox in Boston.
Grit.
But they do win this one, and they finally, for the first time in what felt like, 8 games, they score in the first 5 innings. Adolis Garcia, 3 of 5, has a couple of jacks, so that's good to see it get going. And they put up crooked numbers twice in the later innings to ultimately get a 9-7 victory in extras. So your Rangers, man, finding a little bit of grit, and I mean, it might be a little too late, but hopefully they can start getting themselves in a place where they can evaluate some things from the offseason, and maybe if they just change the complexion of what this season has been, change the DNA of who they've been this season, maybe they can put on a run like the Mets of old, or like some of the teams that we've seen put on crazy, miraculous runs at the end of a season.
Stranger things have happened, and baseball is one of those sports that, you know, the improbable can be probable, just because you can get on a torrid run. I think it was what the Colorado Rockies did that a few years back when they rattled off 25 out of the last 27 or something crazy to squeak into the playoffs. Again, let's not get ahead of ourselves, as our boy Jared Sandler alluded to at the beginning of the show. This has been kind of the DNA of this Texas Rangers team, where they come out of nowhere, win a game that they've kind of been scuffling all day, win the ball game, and so you start to get all excited and think, okay, here we go. And then they go out and promptly lose the next 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
That being said, as you alluded to, Reggie, got off to a great start in tonight's game, but what impressed me the most about tonight's game, and maybe this, again, we're holding on to just a smidge of hope here. You came back from being down twice.
Yeah.
And this is a team that has been horrific this year at come-from-behind victories, and you did it not once, but you did it twice, and you won in extras, and you did it in dramatic fashion.
4 homers.
Again, dare I say too little too late, but hey, you got something to feel somewhat good about, and you still have some reinforcements, albeit small ones, coming in September. So if you're hanging around, and you are in a division that's been all year long, I don't think it's going to happen, especially now that you're ready to go to H-Town and they're going to get some of that Reggie love. But I still think...
apparently the Reggie love didn't help the Rangers all that much this season. I'll tell you that.
Look, stranger things have happened, Reg.
But yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
They get a 4-game set against the Twins at Globe Life Field. Cody Bradford starts it off tomorrow. And then Saturday, Nathan Eovaldi should make his next start. I know that he had some issues that he was dealing with. So there you go with the Rangers. Before we keep going, I did ask for a little bit of a roll call. Y'all got on the text line, 877-881-1053 from the 214. From the 469. They said the listener from Midlothian, Midlow as I like to call it. Shout out to you from the 214. Listening on vacation in Prague. It's 6 a.m. there. Man, real Tolo. I respect that. You heard.
Of all things to do, it is 6 a.m. So my man's got a cup of coffee, listen to a little bit of the Get Right on Reggie's last day. So shout out to Prague.
From the 817, Alvarado, Texas. Gonna miss you, Reggie. Thanks for believing in white cornerbacks, even though as a white guy, I know we slow. No, this is the thing, and I don't know if you've heard this take before, Fred, but I am perplexed and amazed that so many people doubt the white cornerback like this. They just believe that white dudes can't run and are inherently incapable of playing cornerback.
Well, that's...
It's not true, though.
I mean, it's kind of true.
If a white guy has the speed and shiftiness and capability of playing slot receiver, you trying to tell me they can't play cornerback? Nah,
okay,
man.
Outside of this Cooper DeJean kid, the last one was...
But that's less about capability, and that's more about a lack of imagination. I think it's a lack of imagination.
There's 3 white corners that are projected to make NFL rosters this year.
And at least one of them plays at Iowa, because Iowa is white CBU. Please understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, and look, I'm excited. I mean, hey, go white quarterbacks.
That's
all
right.
But I mean, again,
Cooper DeJean going to bring us back into the place. And I see you, Kid Cowboy. You said Jeff Heath. We will let a white guy play safety, but that's because...
No, I could see that.
Well,
white guys playing safety.
That's because
R.I.P. Pat Tillman.
I mean, Jeff Heath, Eric Weddle. Like we will let a white guy play safety, but
once
for
every
some
5
reason
years.
we lack the imagination to
I don't think it's imagination. You either can or you can't.
But they can.
Outside. I mean, no, I see that we've got this resurgence, but before that, it was Jason Sehorn, which was 20 years ago.
But I think that's because you have coaches, you have general managers.
Guys that can't do it.
You got coaches and general managers that, because of their biases, they're not willing to open their eyes and see it.
Why aren't there any in college? How come none of these dudes get drafted?
There are some in college, like Troy Apke, who got drafted by I think the Washington team at that point. You'll remember him from the viral video of Dion on the broadcast being like, "Oh, he fast, he can run." That dude had crazy blazing speed. You know what he ended up playing in the NFL? Safety, right? They were like, "Oh, we see that skin color. You cannot play cornerback. Get back here and play safety."
I think it's one of them deals where but you see it in practice. I mean, if the dude if he can't cover in practice, then the next best thing is all right. He's gonna be a safety or a special teams guy.
So, anyways,
that's typically what happens.
I mentioned the roll call 512 ATX. I see you. 972 Colleyville, but originally North Dallas. Let's see. Listening from Godly, that. ATL. Someone said from the 214, just saw Marshawn Lynch at a Walmart.
I saw that too in Roanoke.
He was on the phone, so I didn't speak to him. You already know why he's there, right? He's there so he don't get fined. But there you go. Appreciate you listening to all that. Let me get back to some of these headlines, as apparently Aaron Judge doing Aaron Judge things at this point. I feel like that's how we have to describe this, as Aaron Judge just became the quickest player to hit 300 career home runs. That happened tonight. I believe that he does this in 955 games. The first player to do this in less than 1,000 games. A-Rod, Juan Gonzalez, obviously big-time Ranger hero Juan Gonzalez, Giancarlo Stanton, Ryan Howard, Ralph Kiner have all done this, but all taking more than 1,000 games. Aaron Judge hitting 300 homers in 955 games. And so that's 43 on the season. He's on pace for 58. This dude is just incredible when it comes to being at the bat.
He is. Here's my question for you. I mean, he's 32 years old, all right? He'll be 33 in April. So, again, I mean, obviously he starts off the year and hits his birthday. So, how many – I mean, look, baseball guys can make it, play into their late 30s. Nutrition's different. He's a physical specimen. He's got 300 home runs.
Dude, he's giant.
Do we think he's got a legit shot at? I don't think he's going to break the home run record.
Oh no.
Do we think he's got it? What are we thinking? 600? Do we think that's possible? He's at 300 right now, and like you said, it took him how many games to get to that?
955 games. In being a scaredy cat, I'd probably say like 500 is something that we feel. I don't know. And look, he's a big-time home run hitter. I do wonder if that power is going to be there, I think, just when you talk about his frame and his size.
And that's with this 2020 year where he was hurt and he only played 28 games and only hit 9 home runs.
Yeah, I was like, what kind of longevity are we maybe hoping for? Because is he going to be a Ricky Henderson where you just can't get him to go home? You know?
I got a question for you. And our boy Michael Beer, fantastic baseball guy from dadgummit, what's the what do we do? It's like Foul Territory or something like that is the group he's with.
Yes, Foul Territory, absolutely.
He said he can beat Aaron Judge in a race around the bases. I said he was crazy for that. He thought I was crazy to think he was crazy. Is that insane to think? Have you seen Michael Beer in person? He was actually at Fan Bowl on Saturday.
Yeah, I feel like I did see him. That feels
he's Kevin Walker size.
No, I mean I know him. I'm just trying to think. That feels wild.
That's what I told him. I said, bro, you're out of your mind. He's like, well, he's 6'7". I said, yeah, that's exactly right. He's a grown-ass man. He's a professional athlete.
Yeah, and he's 6'7", and that stride is 6'7".
Well, that's what I told him. I said, and like I said, he's Kevin Walker size. If Kevin Walker, and I'm just using you as an example just because, again, physically you guys are
generally average. I mean, look, you're what, probably about 5'11", right?
On a good day.
I really wish. 5'9".
Okay. All right.
I'm just being honest, 5'9".
5'11",
5'10" if I wear the right shoe.
5'11" and some hokas.
I'm guessing about
I do not
175, 180.
180. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If dude went up to if he went up to Aaron Judge and said, "I can beat you in a race around the bases," I just feel like knowing professional athletes, he'd look at him and be like, "Bro, you're out of your."
But sometimes the Kevin Walker frame can run track and has that level of speed. I don't know. Yeah, and I know Judge is fast. He plays center field, right? Like that. That's something else. That's something else, guys. Some other news before we go. We mentioned Matthew Judon going from the Patriots to the Falcons for a 3rd-round pick. So the Falcons add yet another really good pass rusher. One of the things that they haven't had for a long time since Grady Jarrett,
Jesse Tuggle,
right? It's been a while since they've had a very good pass rusher. So that really could help the Falcons. Jim Harbaugh dropping a little bit of a bomb earlier today, stating that while Colin Kaepernick has not been able to make his way back to the NFL as a player, that Jim Harbaugh offered Colin an opportunity to coach with the Chargers in January. He said that he hit him up and told him that you had an opportunity to do it, and and he said he's waiting to hear back, I believe.
He's waiting to hear back. I guess he's been out of the country.
Yeah.
But, look, it's already, we're in training camp. So,
Yeah, I'm guessing that's not going to be taken up
what's
on that.
he going to do?
I do find it interesting that in the NFL, right, you might be, in a bad, I don't know if even that's the right way of saying it, but you might be in kind of like a bad way with the league itself.
Yes.
And you still work in it. The name that comes to mind for me is Brian Flores, as he was actively suing the league for what he believed was for discrimination.
But they love him as a D coordinator.
And then he went and he was a D coordinator in
Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, even before he got to Minnesota, he was like an assistant or like a quality control coach of some sort with the Steelers. Then he went to Minnesota as a defensive coordinator. Look, the NFL has their issues.
Interviewed with the Texans for their head coaching.
He did.
Job.
That's
threw
right.
them in the lawsuit.
So I find it interesting that maybe Colin Kaepernick still could be in that place as a coach and still be in some ways invested and involved in the NFL while having this very large rift between him and the league as well.
Yeah. No, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna pivot to one more thing.
Let's
I want to
pivot.
make sure that
Let's pivot.
I don't know if. Look, I don't know how many race fans there are out there. However, something big happened this weekend in racing. Not F1, Kevin. I saw you pissed off.
No, but I know what you're talking about, too. Yeah, that one's interesting.
Yeah, at Richmond, there was a race in Richmond, Virginia with NASCAR where the finish was kind of crazy. Austin Dillon ended up spinning out a couple of racers, Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, both crashing at the very end, but he ultimately wins. And NASCAR came out and made the decision that Austin Dillon's win would remain a win, but it would not count when it came to the tally or the eligibility for NASCAR playoffs, which is a rule that is well established within the NASCAR rules, but just to kind of stop, I guess, finishes like this, because he intentionally, it seemed like, wrecked the first and third place cars on his way to winning this race. So I thought that was an interesting way of going about that. Do you agree with the rule of, we'll let you keep the win, but we're not going to let it work towards the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't really know the point of that. I guess from a monetary standpoint, you still get the first place loot, so that's cool. But if you don't get the points, that's kind of nullifies it, I guess. But at the end of the day, you can still take the money with you. NASCAR needs a hero. We need
Austin Dillon's not going to be it.
No, Austin Dillon. We don't have any Rainbow Warriors. Okay, and I'm talking about Jeff Gordon. All right. We don't have.
I thought you meant Hawaii football players.
We don't have any Dale. We don't have any Dale Earnharts. We don't even have any Dale Earnhart Juniors. We don't have any Tony Stewarts. But
let's be honest, Fred. Even if we did, would we know?
Absolutely, you would, man. If you rubbing is racing, come on, man.
I like racing. I like Formula One, and I do enjoy NASCAR.
Rocking in your Hokas.
I literally do not own Hokas. I'm gonna end that discussion right now.
Hey man, Hokas are comfortable as hell.
I'm not saying that they're not. I just don't personally own them. I'm not gonna fall for that stereotypical Hoka.
I didn't realize young people were wearing them. That
everyone wears
blew my mind when I found out young people were wearing them.
Not everyone.
I just thought it was old people, and apparently young people are wearing them too.
Yeah, man, young people have actually moved a little bit away from like some of the tried and trues that we kind of think about.
They're not wearing the Nikes and the Adidas like they used to.
Well, because Nike in particular, maybe Adidas a little bit, but Nike in particular has just thought that they've had a monopoly.
Yeah,
they've not tried to reach out. Like think of the last time that you saw like a really dope Nike ad. They're not really doing this quite in the same way that they used to.
What a great point.
And so, yeah.
They kind of did pretty good during the Olympics, I think. But Adidas is definitely top game right now, especially with the Anthony Edwards campaign they got going right now.
That Anthony Edwards.
I haven't seen a commercial in a while. I guess that's the other thing.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, with the kind of bifurcation of all the TV and all.
I mean, if it's not, I got YouTube TV, and so I'll watch. I watch the Olympics then, but when it goes to commercial, I go to do something else, and then I know that I've got about 3 or 4 minutes before I go back. Or if I'm watching a baseball game on Apple TV, I guess I just haven't noticed. So, but to your point, as far as the last time Nike had put out a good ad, when's the last time Nike put out a good shoe that wasn't a remake?
That's also a good thing. Like, they haven't really invested in making sure that they remain top of the line in that way. And some of these other places like Hoka and those types of things, they're putting out good products, and people go with good products.
If you're old.
Hey, man.
Look, I mean, I can't rock with the shoe that has a 3-inch sole.
Slide it on your feet and see just how comfortable
I get
it is.
it. I'm not going to do it.
I get it.
Not going to do it.
And some of that is the style, right? Like as you go through different generations, we're like, we
Ultra
want
Boost would change your life, Fred.
folks a little bit closer to. It's weird for me to put myself in your generation as well.
Yeah.
We're not super far off, but just enough that
Just
it could be a
enough.
little bit
Just
different.
enough.
But I think folks a little bit my age, older,
Yeah.
maybe sleeker shoes, kind of cleaner designs, cleaner lines.
That's it. I don't need a lot.
The younger folks seem to like a little bit of a bulkier shoe at times. Get a little bit of that size and that dynamism.
Yeah.
To use a word that definitely doesn't fit there.
You looked at the Yeezys. They had a thick sole. I mean, the thick sole thing just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel you.
I just can't do it. Now, give me some Nike Frees. I got 17 pairs of the same shoe with the same sole. Come on. I'll rock them bad boys all day.
I respect it. All right, man. Those are your headlines. There's some other things happening as well in the world of sports, but those are your headlines as it relates to the Get Right.
The majority of the day
right
today,
here on 105.3 The Fan. Coming up next, Fred has asked me to deliver kind of some of my
We're going to turn the tables on Reg.
Okay.
Reg usually does all the questions asking.
Okay.
We're going to ask him questions.
All right,
Kevin, you got a couple? And then and I want to hear from you, Tolos, as well. Get your questions ready. We're opening the phone lines as well, 877-881-1053. You got 2 segments of the Get Right left, all right? You got 2 segments of the Get Right left. You got something to say to Reggie. You want to say your final goodbyes. I know he's going to be on KNC for the next couple of days, but as far as hosting his show, now, again, he's going to have his own show when he gets to H-Town, but here in the Big D, 2 segments left. Make sure you get your questions ready.
Yeah, we'll do that next on the Fan.
Gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Raid wants to know, what would you do if you could confidently face every day knowing you and your loved ones are protected? Would you sing along to your favorite song at the top of your lungs? Turn off the GPS and let your heart do the guiding. Go to the drive-thru and order one of everything. Feel the buzz of confidence of knowing you are protected with 65 years of insect science in your hands. Raid. Protection for everyone.
Let's get in a time machine, folks. Let's fast forward 4 months from now. You're at a family get-together over the holiday season, and everybody says to you, "Holy cow, what happened to you? How did you lose that weight?" They barely recognize you. I'm RJ Choppy. I feel the same way, all right? You can lose up to 4 pounds a week without drugs, shots, pills, and without the hunger pains. That's what happens on Soda Weight Loss. I am down 33 pounds, and I have kept that weight off. I am so happy and so thankful for the fine folks at sodaweightloss.com. SOTA weightloss.com. Hit that requested nutritionist call.
Do you think it's true that you've got to forget something else to remember that Uber Eats has groceries?
No, that's absurd. Hey, remember when you used to be a, what was it, Pepper Lady? Pepper Lady?
Wasn't it Cinnamon Sisters?
Basil Babes.
Saffron Squad?
Nutmeg Maidens?
Paprika?
No.
Nutmeg Maidens.
I just said that. Was it Spice Girls?
Doesn't sound right.
Was it Saffron Squad?
autoleasing.com and start saving.
Make leasing easy at B&M.
It's Get right here on 105 through the Fan. Reginald Adetula here with you alongside Fred Davis. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Wednesday evening in the Metroplex. My personal final Get Right here on 105 through the Fan. It's been a fantastic experience tonight, but overall, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and continuing to make the experience. I was going to say make the experience better, but you make the experience as a listener, so I appreciate that. Earlier, I was asking you guys to kind of check in. We kind of came to that organically. Where's everybody listening from? And you guys continue to give us a little bit of a roll call as from the 254, they said Mackinac Island, Michigan, originally from Marlin, Texas. So shout out to you. I hope I said that correctly. From the 563, checking in from Davenport, Iowa. Gonna miss you, brother. Best of luck, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And some other people sending in kind things from the 469. They said, You've been great. Best of luck to you down in the H. But does this mean 105 through the Fan has a job opening? I don't know. You might have to keep an eye out for that.
Good. I mean, that's
on the job board.
Well, I mean, Tim Collins did check in with us earlier today.
He did.
So go to LinkedIn and see Odyssey Dallas.
Yeah, see what that's about. 972 said, "Hey Reggie, you were the first voice I heard when I turned on 105 for the first time a year and a half ago, and I've been hooked ever since. I just wanted to give you praise and say thank you for making every segment you're a part of special. We love you, Reggie, and we'll miss you." Man, that means a lot. That I never think of myself as possibly the ambassador for 105 through the Fan at any given point, and in that moment, when you're the first voice that somebody hears giving it a try, in that way you kind of are. So I'm glad that I was a good one, or at least good enough to keep you along to hear all the fantastic guys on the station, whether it's Sean and RJ, KNC, G-Bag, the fantastic weekend programming that we have. Jared, Eric, and Matt on the Rangers broadcast, Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, Chrissy Scales on Cowboys. It's a lot of talented people that work here and that have worked here over a time that have had an opportunity to work with. So this place is prime. This place is mint, as our friends over the pond would say.
As somebody who's been fired twice, it's good to know when it's your last show. All right, 'cause I've done a couple of shows that you get that email or that call. Hey, by the way, we don't need you anymore, Fred. Thanks. It's been real. So from that standpoint, it's nice to be a part of a show where you know it's your last show and you're going on to bigger and brighter things. So my question for you, Reggie, as somebody who's been in this industry for a little bit, and ironically enough, I know the station you're going to and actually have occupied the chair that you're going to be sitting in when you go down to the H-Town this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so midday, 10 to 2, in the Loop, over at Sports Radio 610, home of the Texans, sister station of good old 105.3 The Fan. So, again, folks that you know, Gavin was at 6'10" once upon a time. Tim Collins was at
Spittle, not Dawson. Just letting you know.
What'd I say?
No, you said Gavin.
Oh, Gavin, that's okay.
I just wanted to make
yeah.
sure it was clear.
Absolutely. And so what did you know about 6'10"? And from now that you're going to be on a day part, which for the folks at home, the daytime world is a different world than the nighttime world, and that's just reality. What are you most looking forward to about being in that midday spot and more importantly, going to where now, like, you know, we're going to see the imaging, like we're going to see. You're not dependent upon baseball, what schedule's this, what schedule's that. Like Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 in the loop, Reggie Adetula is going to be on the radio.
Yeah, man. What I'm looking forward to is, hey, man, it's the best schedule on radio. 10 to 2. That is a great time to be on air.
It is.
It's a great time to be on air. On a, I was going to say more serious note, but please understand, I am being serious. The consistency, I think, allows you to really develop something.
Yeah.
And continue to build it. And that's going to be incredible. Like having an opportunity to kind of just try something new. But at the same time, that's the scary part a little bit. And I will say from that side of it, and again, I'm gonna bring this to the Tolos, is I think the Tolos had an opportunity for a lot of folks if you've been around for a while, but I guess one of the things I have to remember is not everybody has been along the ride. But I think in the Metroplex, I was able to really, ease into this place where, I mean, I went to school at UTA, I got a feel for the Metroplex, and then I ended up starting here and working, overnights and working weekends and getting a feel for all of those things. And people got to know me slowly but surely as a voice that maybe popped on a little bit on the Fan Jam, whether it was Jesse Holly and Roy White and Mike Dingus and then R.A. Temkin, and you hear me kind of add in a little bit or have one segment here or there and then work with KNC and add in a little bit, and you got to know me a little bit in those different places before it was like, hey, now Reggie has a show. In this place, I'm jumping into a place where they don't know me from Adam.
Yeah.
And I have to immediately come in and have something to show them.
Hot takes.
Right?
Just
and
flaring.
So one thing I will say is there's a little bit of, I think, as anything with anything that's unknown, you're walking into a place and you're like, what's this going to be? Especially because I know here in the DFW, in this Metroplex, people have embraced me in a large way. Now, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't expect myself to be that, but a majority of y'all have been so good to me, man. And there's a level of, I'm going and I have to try and build that again. And so that's a little bit of the, I guess, the scary. And then, hey, man, you're jumping into that every day. In that midday, it's on you to bring the good and bring the fun and enjoy, make sure that people are having fun. And so I think it's something I'm capable of, but there's never a feeling where you go in and you go, man, this is going to be easy and I know for sure it's going to work. Like every time we crack this mic, I know that sometimes it's like, hey, man, you're comfortable and like, you've been doing this. There's always, for me, a little bit of nerves of like, hey, man, am I putting on a good show before we do this? And I've been told that's a good thing, but it doesn't feel like it when you step into it. So one of the things I hope is that when I have cracked this mic, that people have gotten that level of, they feel like they've gotten their money's worth, to put it that way. That, hey, man, we're getting quality and that you've put in the time, that you're giving us something that's entertaining and informative. And I hope that I can continue to do that at the scale that's necessary for what is this step up,
When you look at the teams you're going to be covering, a little bit different dichotomy of what you got going on here in Dallas. We'll start with the football side of things. In Dallas, it's about as apathetic as it gets. We've been talking about that for the last couple months. And now you're about to go into H-Town, where let's call it what it is. You're talking about a team that's widely considered a sleeper Super Bowl contender. H-Town is a football town. That is first and foremost. People are excited. And you've got an owner who, as much as people dislike Jerry Jones here, Cal McNair went from being persona non grata, was talking about, they were thinking this guy was the Tommy Boy of NFL owners, to where
apparently he's like crushing beers on a Luke Combs concert.
I mean, the heel turn that Cal McNair has done,
or face turn, I think is the way that we go this way.
Or exactly right.
Yeah.
The opposite. You can tell my Alec Medford would kill me right now for misspeaking in the wrestling side of things. And so you're looking at it from a much different deal. You've got a rookie quarterback, on his rookie contract in C.J. Stroud. What do you know about the Texans, and kind of from talking to guys there at 6'10", where kind of give me one little hot take that you've got in your back pocket when it comes to the Texans?
hot take. That's interesting. I'm trying to think. Like, the hotness of the take is going to be tough. Like, but one of the things for me is I try to always come at all these things, and I hope that it's come across this way over my time here at the Fan, from a place of excitement. I think when it comes to sports, very often we can kind of get jaded to this, and like we feel like we have to give either hot takes or tear down and say that someone's not good enough, or legacy and those types of things. And I try to at least come to it from the place that I think we all could get to sports from, which is, man, this is incredible. We're watching incredible people do incredible things, and like the fun and the entertainment and excitement of it. And one of the things that's very evident, that's a fun team down there, where you start with the quarterback, you talk about the wide receivers, you talk about the talent that they have in all these places, and then the coaching, right? When you had your offensive coordinator almost got taken from the Texans to become a head coach, and the head coach has been very good there. So
would you say right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put your feet to the fire right now, would you say the Houston Texans are a better football team on paper going into 2024 than the Dallas Cowboys? Yes or no?
I would.
Look at that already.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't even left Dallas yet. He's already pooing all over the Cowboys. Can you believe this, ladies and gentlemen? Can you believe what we've heard already?
And you want to know why? This is an offseason that they invested heavily in their team.
I think you're 100% right.
And also, I think that when it comes to like play calling, the level of elevation that you get from offensive play calling and defense.
Yeah.
Bobby Slowick and then DeMeco Ryans, and I know that also this is defense coordinator there that I want to be disrespectful to, but like those guys are
nobody else knows
very high. Matt Thomas, I believe. Those guys are very high when it comes to like knowing the game, the modern game, and being on the cutting edge of what's happening. Offenses in that Kyle Shanahan system that is on the cutting edge. DeMeco Ryans has been like incredible, and they've added to what they're doing there. All those things.
I think he calls the defenses in Houston. By the way, better quarterback, CJ or Dak?
I was asked this earlier, or what was that, yesterday, 2 days ago on the KNC Masterpiece, and I went ahead and said CJ because I was like, I know what y'all want from me. I know what y'all want from me right now.
Look
y'all
at this.
Y'all want me to be this.
Glazing, as the kids say.
Y'all want me to be the villain, so that it hurts a little bit less, and I can do that for you.
Man.
Okay, Reggie, if I can throw in a question, in the words of Fred, I know we're up against it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know.
Words that's a what? Bravo. I like that shot.
Yeah.
That's a good shot. That's a good shot. You got to admit, that's a good shot.
I was wondering if you can say it on air. What is your, as you leave, what is your most memorable or your favorite fan moment? On air, off air, whatever. Just your favorite. When you think of the Fan, what is the moment you think of that holds a lot of moment? Like holds a lot for you?
I'm awful at individual moments, man. Like that's. I don't think there's one, and it's a terrible answer. And look, y'all know me and well enough to know that I'm not good at this when it comes to like finding these individual answers. But there have been so many great moments that have happened over time. You know what? I could probably talk about the night where the Rangers win the World Series, and we're all in here kind of celebrating that. That was very cool. I think it might possibly be when Dirk came in one of those days, because Dirk is an incredible human being, and having the opportunity to be in his presence and interact with him, something that this place gave me an opportunity to do. But there's any one moment that I can come up with, there's probably about 5 that are similar that's been facilitated by working here and working for the people that listen to the station. And so, look, man, there's a lot of people to this. Actually, you know what? I lied. I mentioned all these things, and it really is some of those fan events, getting to meet some of the great folks that we've met, whether it's, one of the Sandlot charity dinners, getting to hang out with Rachel Ring, who's always been super supportive of me and the show. My guy Sean. There's a lot of different folks when we went out to Burleson, whether it was the Buffalo Wild Wings or the Twin Peaks, and like getting to hang out with the people, man, has been the greatest moments. Because again, we can sit here and we can talk on the radio and it's cool, and we can feel like we're having fun in here and giving good takes and all these things. The thing that's continually since this move has been public and people have been showering with love, the thing that continually comes to mind for me is like, man, knowing that what I'm doing has some level of impact with folks, that people value it, that respect it, they enjoy it. I didn't realize how much that meant to me, and it's been hitting me, man. I appreciate you guys so much. Knowing that you guys have some appreciation for me, you've done so much. You've done so much. I love it here, man. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you, Reg. I do, man, and I think you're going to do great things in H-Town. You're going to do great things. And let me tell you something. They need a spark in H-Town. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I'll see what I can do.
You better. Hey, I've told lots of people in H-Town, tune into the midday show. My boy Reggie Adetula is coming.
You're making this. You're raising the stakes on this.
Oh, you damn right I am. I'm hyping you up, bro. Right. I've already told plenty of people about Reggie Adetula. So stand by, my friend.
When I trip and fall on my face,
I expect nothing but the best from you, my friend. One more segment. You got one more left in you?
I think I got one more in me. Look, KG couldn't do it. Apparently, talking about the Tolos did. Little bit of tears. I'm gonna dry my face, and then when we come back, we'll get the final call. It's next on the Fan.
Coming up Thursday morning on Sean and RJ.
Uber Eats has Lola V products? I gotta remember that.
Well, you know, they say in order to remember something, you have to forget something else. Okay, now that is a very cute haircut. That's like a little shag. I've never seen it before.
Well, I mean, of course you have. It's the Rachel.
Oh, is that your name?
No, I mean, like, your name.
No, I'm Jen. My name's Jen.
Right, but I just mean, like, this is your haircut.
But that's hair on your head.
I'm not saying this is your hair.
Okay, freaking me out a little bit.
HAN and RJ. BetterHelp.com/Sean and RJ.
Get right here on 105 through the fan one last time. Reggie Adetula alongside Fred Davis. Kevin Walker. I don't know why he calls you Craig for some reason.
Looks
Kevin
like a
Walker on
Craig.
the ones and twos. I could see you being a Craig.
Oh, 100%.
I could definitely see you being a Craig, but his name is Kevin.
Craig Walker.
Interesting.
Kevin Walker.
Never got that before.
On the ones and twos. I know. That's what I try and do for you.
You Craig.
A lot of thanks to Brian Broaddus, to Jared Sandler, to who else joined us? David Helman, and I guess Tim Collins, Kevin Gray, various Tolos whose names I probably should have written down to make sure I could thank you, verbatim.
Delaware in the house. Buffalo in the house.
There was a caller that called in. He didn't want to join the show for whatever reason, but he wanted to ask if you were going to be a sellout to the DFW area.
I don't think so, but I guess that's
What does
not
that
really
mean?
for me to decide.
What does that mean?
One of the things that, again, I feel like enough people know me well enough to know, like, man, I try to come from a fairly positive space in a lot of the ways that I have these conversations. So no, I'm you know what's funny?
No, you're going to be Reggie Adetula. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be a professional. That's what you're going to be.
I tell you, before when I was growing up in Houston, I probably had a lot more negative things to say about Dallas, and I absolutely come now. I've enjoyed my time here. I'll say that completely honestly.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Once you've lived in both places, I mean, each city has their own little thing about them. I mean, I can say that having lived 12 years in Houston and now, 4 months here in Dallas. And there are things, as you know, Reggie, that Houston has its perks. Dallas, DF-Dub has its perks. I'll say one thing that I love about DF-Dub that I can't stand about Houston, the humidity.
Yeah, which for me personally,
good God,
that works for me personally. So
sick.
No, but
sick.
Yeah, I was about to say something, but I don't even know. You guys have been incredible in all various ways. One thing I'd like to do in this moment, I'd like to apologize to all our YouTube users, listeners that listen on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I know I don't always show it because I'll obviously respond to the text line. I'll respond in the Twitch. I just never log into YouTube. So I see you all talking. Shout out to Christina Massey. No, I will not give you Blake's number. I feel like he should do that himself. I feel like that might be a violation.
At Blake Live __. We're trying to get that fixed, but he won't do it.
He's slow with that.
I fixed mine. So
Shout out to Kid Cowboys. Shout out to Tejano Boy. I appreciate you. I always see you in that chat. Kid Cowboy as well. So I did want to apologize to that. But man, there's been a lot of love right now on the Twitch. They're talking about the various things that they're miss is my distaste of having Aubrey Graham mentioned on the show, or now we're not going to have a good Shaq impersonation on the station. They said various things. I appreciate you guys reminiscing on some of the fun things. 972 mentioned that the night that the Rangers signed Jacob deGrom, myself and KG were on the air. That was a fun night for sure. So. A lot of things that this program in particular, we've had a lot of fun times in this moment. Fred, you'll continue to make memories.
Hopefully, all good ones.
Time slot. I don't think they can all be good. I think that there's all sorts of different ones, but one thing about it is, you enjoy yourself along the way, and
don't get yourself fired. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Always, number one is don't get fired.
FCC, you feel me? You hear me, FCC?
Number one is do not get fired. So
no, that's definitely number one.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with all of this, but one of the things I want to say is that I appreciate you if you've not gotten that yet.
We're bringing you on when don't the Texans and Cowboys play each other this year?
Texans Cowboys play this year.
Right.
Bobby Belt already said that he was going to have me on, but you know what?
Well, you got to make a return to the night show.
Okay.
I mean, it's only right during Texans Cowboys week.
Okay.
So you got that, Craig? You listening? Craig,
yeah, I got it. Yeah,
on this.
I'm not gonna respond to that. After tonight, that is over.
And
We're
I guess
not doing that.
I do need to make sure to shout out my guy Linnell Security.
Yes,
down at the board, down in the building. There's multiple times where he's told me to give him a shout out, and I haven't. Tonight is my last opportunity, so I wanted to make sure I made it happen. 80, wow, you guys are just all right. You guys got 3 minutes to throw out all the memories that you can, or throwbacks, because somebody just said shout out to the Carmelo Anthony update. That's probably from like 4 years ago. That is wild. I don't know. Is this good radio at this point? Because at this point, I'm just trying not
you
to
got 3 minutes.
to tear up.
Just do it. Just start boo-hooing.
It's meant a lot.
This is your acceptance speech.
It's meant a lot to me.
Thank
I didn't prepare anything. Yeah, I don't want to thank.
Have you thanked God yet?
I have every day, man. For the opportunity to do this, man. There's been
couldn't do any of this.
A lot of great people that have made this shake, man. A lot of people that have, this show in particular, where obviously it started with KG. CA has done a lot of work with me.
Is there anybody you don't want to thank?
Yeah. That's a spicy way of going about it.
That's a toxic way to end this.
Nah, but man, there's been so many great guests where you talk about, like I mentioned, Dave. I talk about Broadus has joined us. My man Vach. Various Rangers folks. When you talk about Jared, you talk about Kennedy Landry, Sean McFarland. Look, there's so many different places. Levi Weaver. We start naming names on the various people that have made.
You don't
want
to do a real quick, like Kendrick type diss to anybody, real quick, and say, before I leave out of here, I just want to tell you, you said I would never do this. Look at me now. You're flipping burgers down at the, In and Out on Beltline. Look
Shout out
at
to
me,
Aisha Morrison. Yes, thank you. Look, Sky, my guy Skywalker Steele. Look, there's so many various people that I really should list off, but man, there's so many people that have made this a fantastic show, fantastic program. And there's it's
you taking your talents to H-Town.
You as well have been vital in making this what it's been. And so I appreciate you for hanging out with us all this time, hanging out with me all this time, hanging out with me tonight on the Get Right. Make sure to keep it locked right here to 105.3 The Fan. Sean and RJ in the morning. KC Masterpiece, I'll be on with them tomorrow and Friday as I finish out my term. But G-Bag Nation, you'll have Ranger Baseball against the Twins as they start a 4-game set right here on 105.3 The Fan. But as I always say, until then, y'all make sure you take care of yourself, love each other, and be easy.
Text away your thoughts to the guys right now on the truckwreck.com fan text line.